Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right
to live? Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media. And you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen some other people do it. You've seen some people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this. And it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So, check the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we are back with another What If? And this should be a very interesting what if, y'all. We're going to dare ask the question, which at this particular point, I am not looking for this to happen. I hope this is something we do not have to worry about in the future. But we're asking the question, what if Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump in the presidential election? Okay, y'all, what if Donald Trump took an L, y'all? What if Donald took the L and we got Kamala in the building, y'all, speaking as the first woman president of the United States? That's what we're getting into today. It should be an interesting conversation. Of course, all are welcome to, to say whatever they believe would actually happen had Kamala Harris won. But before we get into this, first of all, I want to say shout out to all the people who come through on a regular basis to get the channel views on a regular basis, because that's the fam. So shout out to each and every one of y'all. Appreciate you big time. Shout out to all the people who hype me up every chance they get. Appreciate you doing so. These things matter a lot. Shout out to all the people who leave comments after the stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's definitely helping with the algorithm. Can't thank you enough. Shout out to all the people who shout out to all the people who hit that like button, y'all. Y'all know that's a big deal. So when you come in here, make sure you hit that like button, okay? Make sure you hit that like button, okay? And if you're a person who's seeing this, way after the fact, hit the like button anyway, y'all. Every time someone hits the like button, it makes a difference. So make sure you do that. And shout out to the people who go above and beyond the call of duty. The people who go ahead, send a little something in, okay? The financial contributors. Of course, y'all helped me do this in a way that I could not do it without you, and I thank you very much for that, and that's real talk. So shout out to everyone who's financially contributed to the channel. Shout out to each and every one of y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do. I appreciate you big time. Definitely can't say that enough. So shout out to each and every one of y'all. And as we're shouting you all out, let me say shout out to the one and the only DJ from DC. He is our sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to DJ from DC. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate you big time. Again, can't say it enough. It ain't the same without y'all. It ain't the same without y'all. And that's just being real. So thank you very much, y'all. All right, folks. Let me give a few shouts to some of the first people in the building, because when you start a show, it's always great to see that you got some audience members checking in. It's always a good thing to see. But as y'all know, over here at the Roger Report Live, there can only be one. And shout out to my main man, Gyogami. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to Gyogami. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Appreciate you big time, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Okay. Shout out to my main man, the Righteous Teacher. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. We got what is it? AJJ. Who let's do this. I remember the man at arms. I'm not here. It ain't coming to my mind who was attached to the man at arms picture, but shout out to you because I know you've been rocking with me for a long time. Shout out to the one, the only, the pit master himself, our main man, Chef Mike's Round Table is in the building. Great to see you. Great to see you. I'm real curious who's the man at arms avatar. Who is that? I know you've been rocking with us for a good minute. Shout out to Shark Sims. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Great to see you. Great to see you. We got my main man, Trail Bentley, in the house representing. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag Hell Hydra. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. I see you super excited about this particular about this episode. Shout out to my main man, Bruce Wayne is in the building. What's good, my brother? What's good? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. We got Grab Second Get Eddie in the building. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Floyd Thompson is here. Yay, yay. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Okay. Y'all, we about to get started. But before we do, let me say this. Shout out to Chef Mike. Now he says, everyone, please remember, this is a thought experiment. What if? Don't let your emotions take over today. You know what? Shout out to you, Chef. I appreciate you saying that. Y'all, and please keep that in mind. It is a what if. We do not actually have to live through this. We're going to talk about what would have happened, but we don't actually have to live through this, y'all. And she don't never have to get in office if we don't want her in office. It's up to us. Okay. So yes, please relax, y'all. It's just a thought experiment. Okay. It's just a thought experiment. Shout out to Chef, but just keeping it real, y'all. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. All right. It's like a horror movie, y'all. We just going to go in there, deal with it for a little bit. But the good news is, at the end of the show, we're going to pull right on out. We're going to pull right on out, okay? So let's think about this, y'all. Let's think about this, okay? what if Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump in the presidential election? All right, so things will get a little crazy, y'all. Things will get a little crazy. You know, number one, there's be a huge celebration. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly how that celebration would be, but they would throw a huge celebration because, you know, when you win, you know, people gonna celebrate. So, you know, she had her celebration scheduled at an HBCU, so they would have been rocking. And the fact that she would have won at an HBCU, then she would have been black all of a sudden. You know, like somehow when she was running and all of a sudden she became black. As Donald Trump said, you know, she was beforehand, she wasn't black and now she is black. I don't know. I'm not saying black is bad, but she wasn't black at first and now she's black. Hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Donald Trump for just keeping that real. I'm gonna say shout out to Donald Trump because I ain't gonna lie, I never would have thought a presidential candidate would say something like that. I wouldn't have thought he would have had a reason to say something like that. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I remember when she wasn't black and now she's black, you know, which is fine with me, you know. But it was a very interesting thing to bring up, and shout out to him for bringing it up. Okay. Now, y'all, of course, some of the things that are going on right now maybe wouldn't be going on the way they are going on right now. Things would be a little bit different. Now, there was going to be a little time frame where Kamala was going to kick it real hard. Why? Because black women was going to kick it real hard. And why would black women kick it real hard? Because they would have just ran with she is the first black female president of the United States. They was going to act the fool. Let's just be realistic, y'all. Let's be realistic. Black women was going to act a plumb fool, okay? They was going to act a plumb fool the night she got elected, okay? Then they would act a plumb fool on January 20th at the inauguration, y'all. Could you imagine what the inauguration would be like? You got Kamala Harris going in as the first female president of the United States. Okay. Now, y'all think about this. Y'all think about this. Not only would she be the first female president of the United States, not only has black women truly accepted her as a black woman, whether they buy into it or not, it's clear that they accepted her as a black woman, which I'm not tripping about. I'm just saying what happened. So guess what they gonna do? When it's time to inaugurate her, they would be doing everything they could to be at this inauguration. It would have had, now I don't know how many black women would have been allowed to to get into an inauguration, but every black woman who was somebody had a little power. And, you know, well, I ain't gonna say power, a little money, okay? Well, I mean power too. Any black woman who was anybody would have been trying to get into that inauguration 9 times out of 10. I even personally believe that even if they were against her winning, they still would have went anyway. You know, there would have been droves of women who would have tried to be at that inauguration. All right. Now let's also keep it real. A lot of women who want to be there wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't afford to be able to be there, but they would have been there in spirit. Okay. They would have been there in spirit. Okay. Now, how they would have acted, I mean, exactly at the inauguration, I do believe they would have been somewhat reserved. It's not like they would have been twerking on the stage and nothing like that. I know somebody want to say something like that. It wouldn't have got that far. I would hope it wouldn't have gotten that far. But there would have been all types of parties after that. It would have been all types of parties after that. And, you know, I'm sure Oprah would have made it. Okay. You know, no other black woman would have made it. I'm sure Oprah would have made it. Well, of course, Michelle Obama would have been there, I'm sure. Okay. How could those two miss something like that? All right. The black female celebrities, would they have come? Sure, why not? Why would a black female celebrity miss that? So it would have had it would have had some type of draw to it. You know, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. You know, now would there have been one or two that twerked on stage? Maybe, y'all. Maybe. Megan did it at the Megan did it at while she was running, so maybe Megan would have got to the stage and maybe get a small twerk off. Okay, maybe Megan would have did it. Now, every black woman in politics, I'm pretty sure would have did it the best she could to be there. Every single black woman, because you know you got black women in politics, so you know different levels. I'm pretty sure every last one of them that could have been there would have been there. All right, definitely would have been there. You know, definitely would have been there. All right. Now, black women in general, they would be feeling some type of way, y'all. And I'm talking about not in a bad way. I mean a good way. Black women would have looked at the president of the United States. They'd have saw a black woman who was married to a white man. Is this not the American dream for black women? Y'all think about that for a second. Is this not the American dream for black women? Can you dream a better dream when you're a black woman? Okay. Is this not the dream that black women truly, 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 truly want? I'm not saying they dreamed about it 100 years ago. Things happen over time. Things change. There's new inventions, there's new creations, there's all kinds of stuff that happens over time. All kinds of stuff that happen over time. But I believe we are now at a time. Well, realistically, there would have been a dream burning in black women's hearts, okay? Not only was it to be with a white man, because I mean, it's been some black women dream about that for a long, 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 long time. But a black woman having a dream that she could also marry a white man. And not only be married to a white man, she could be president of the United States. Okay? Y'all know how women can be. If one person did it, that means I can do it too. Which sometimes is inspirational, but then sometimes it makes you delusional. Okay? But y'all think about all the black women who would have saw President Kamala Harris, y'all. President Kamala Harris. And she married to a white man. Do y'all think they ain't finna go crazy about that? Okay? Do you really believe they ain't finna go crazy about that? Because I know they would. I know they would. It was gonna be more than a few where that's gonna be running so strong in their hearts. Okay. Now, as black men, for y'all who think the women look at you and say, man, y'all ain't nothing, y'all ain't this, y'all ain't that. Oh, they really would have thought it then. If you think that they act that way now, think about the way they would have acted when they could say President Kamala Harris, okay? Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He says, yep, that would have been even better than Scandal. To them, absolutely, y'all. Absolutely. Because now it ain't even about being the president's side piece. It's about being the president. With a white man. A white man that publicly claims her. Boy, boy, boy. Ain't that about nothing. Now, certain things that's going on in America, would they have happened? I think there'd been some change. Would he have had anything happen when it came to, one scare the country had, the SNAP system went down. okay, SNAP being attached to other systems, would that have happened? I'm gonna say probably not. Probably not. But we had a time where we would have literally had people talking about, well, you know, folks don't have access to this and folks don't have access to this because we had a government shutdown. Would we have had a government shutdown with Kamala Harris? I don't know that we would have, y'all. I don't know that we would have. Okay? As far as what I know, it seems like the Democrats kind of push for the government shutdown. But now if Kamala Harris is in office, you know, representing the Democratic Party, why would you have the government shut down at that point? So I don't know if we would have had that. I'm not saying we'd have been better off because we didn't have it. I'm just saying that I'm not sure we would have had that. Okay? Because the Democrats were using that to force a point. Would you do something like that with a Democratic president in office? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay? Now, shout out, we got Floyd Thompson coming up. You know, I like to get a good 30 minutes in, but since this is a what if, and I'm in a good mood, I'm gonna let my main man get right on in here and chime in, because y'all, this is all what if. So anything, you know, within reason is fine to say. Anything within reason is fine to say, because this is a what if. We don't know how it really would have went down, but we do have clues on how things could have went down. So shout out to Floyd Thompson. What's going on, my brother? You got the mic.
All right. Thankful Thursday, Roger. And long as the official line steppers, yay. Oh man, this what if is kind of crazy, but I'm gonna give it a shot. What if they never shut off the EBT? What if there was no bill potentially signed to give men access to their children through claiming the kids for taxes? I believe the ICE agents that did some stuff ended the life of that woman, that white woman in Minnesota. They probably would have been put on public display, and they would have probably disbanded ICE and deported ICE. All the deportees from other countries, they'd still be here. They'd still be running them up, running gangs. As you know, they say about a lot of these women like thug life guys. So you know, we would have a pink and green month because of the fraternity or sorority that potential president is in, and the party still probably would have been going. Would have been no government shutdown because you know they'd be still partying. That's why the government shutdown wouldn't happen. And of course, the cry of black men ain't ish would have been swinging from everybody's rafters. All that had been said, and they probably had T-shirts, hats, and pink and purple. I mean, pink and green purses for the AKA colors. Every half white woman can now be white. I mean, can now be black. If you had a touch of eighth of black in you, you're black. And everybody, a black man, will be considered an illegal alien with a possibility of being deported somewhere else. They don't know. They didn't get rid of you. The functional productive being would be the first one to go. So the lady can continue with the degeneracy. There will be no mandatory paternity tests, no lie detector tests. SA can be shouted out like hello. This country would truly be in ashes. I got some more, but I'll go give my time, and I'll come back later. Thank you for having me, Roger.
Interesting. Now, I'm gonna say, real talk. If Kamala Harris was president of the United States, because you referred to that shooting of what I definitely believe was a Karen, the lady who was being a Karen, Renee Good. I don't think that would have happened, y'all. Now, why would I say I don't think that would have happened? Because what was Kamala Harris' position on illegal immigrants while she was vice president of the United States? Now, I'm gonna say this, y'all, because I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again, because this needs to be on there. You know, Biden couldn't run for president. When you are not mentally able to run for president, how can you actually run the country? So we saw some of what a Kamala Harris president would look like. Not the full thing because, she was just vice president. But I'm going to tell you for a while. Now, I can't tell you exactly how long it was, but for a while, she was the acting president of the United States because he was out of it. Okay, he was out of it. So when it came to the quote unquote foreign policy, when it came to immigrants getting in, I don't think that was an issue when she was in office. So you wouldn't have had any ICE agents out there doing anything to round up immigrants. They wouldn't have been there in the first place. So there wouldn't have been no protests. That means she would have been acting like a Karen that day, at least not about people immigrating. Because Kamala proved to me, if nothing else, when it came to illegals coming in, she just didn't give a F, as people would say. She just didn't care at all. Come on in. Don't worry about it. If you're illegal and you're in America, we gonna get you some food. We gonna get you some drink. We gonna get you some shelter, and the taxpayers gonna pay for it. Matter of fact, we gonna put you in nice hotels when we get a chance to. We gonna set you up right. We gonna set you up right. And guess what? You're gonna have all the food stamps you could use. Okay, you is not gonna go hungry as long as you don't belong in this country. As long as you do not belong, I'm making this clear. As long as you do not belong in this country, we gonna make sure the last thing you got to worry about is food and shelter. So I'm gonna say I think we saw Kamala's position. So would ICE be in the streets anywhere? I seriously doubt that one. But I'm gonna pull back because we got another guest coming up. We got Tyranny of the Tits is at the mic. You got the mic, my brother. How do you believe? What do you think would have went on had Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump in the presidential election?
Happy Tuesday, Roger.
Happy Tuesday, brother.
All right. So, Kamala had won. The first thing that the hoes would start claiming is that racism is over. Look at this beautiful black woman surrounded by her white husband. George Floyd would be forgotten. What George Floyd? Who's that? Never heard of him. They would already claim that, the white masculinity is superior because the white man doesn't see a problem being married to the president. Meanwhile, you Negroes would feel some type of way if you're not number one. Again, our masculinity would be under scrutiny and attack again. And also, thank you all on social media. Yeah, we'll probably be transferred to hell. Maybe we'll be the one getting deported because we call them hoes instead of queens. And I'm not saying that.
Well, I would say this. Again, Kamala Harris was not concerned with deporting people. We got to remember that fact, y'all. She wasn't concerned with deporting people. So I don't think there would have been any real deportation efforts going on. Truth be told, deportation would have came probably to just about a halt. Now, would a foreigner who did something too bad if they considered it bad to a black woman, would they have looked to deport that particular person? Maybe. That makes sense. They have a little hotline. You call in, say this particular dude, he a foreigner. Can you pick this nigga up? Yeah. They probably would have did something like that. But deportation was not a big concern of Kamala Harris. So everything that we seeing when it comes to deportation, we wouldn't have saw it. Okay, we wouldn't have saw it. I do believe when it comes to all the different things with the SNAP program, that would not have happened. I don't believe that would have happened. The government deals would have been made. The government probably would not have shut down. Now, with things being good working order, I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying I don't believe they would have made that move because you now have a Democratic president in office had she won. Okay, so I don't think they would have did all that because to my understanding, it was really the Democrats who tried to flip the script because they had an agreement and then they hey, we don't want to honor the agreement that we said we was going to honor, and then that led to a government shutdown. So it wouldn't have necessarily happened, in my opinion. Shout out to Detroit 313. He says, "I become the president until I got high. I was going to write an executive order until I got high. No, no wonder just went up to the skyrocket high. Now I know why, man. Until I got high, I got high, I got high, I got high." So Detroit 313. I guess in order to cope with this situation, a lot of people would have got high. Okay. Now, I don't know if she would have kind of let anybody know she got high. I don't know, Detroit 313. But yeah, a lot of folks dealing with the fact that she's in office, I do believe the sale of weed would have went through the roof. Okay, the sale of weed would have went through the roof. I think some other narcotics would have went through the roof somewhat soon after she took office. And truth be told, y'all, there are people complaining around the country about different things right now. I think you would definitely have some more stuff to complain about because based on what I see, this is just my personal opinion. Kamala Harris does not necessarily come off as a strong individual. So would she truly be running the show in Washington? I don't know about that one. I think Kamala just kind of does what she's told when certain people tell her to do stuff. Okay. Now, shout out to AJJ. And I wish I could remember who this was because I remember the Man at Arms avatar. He says mass firing of black men. Laugh out loud. Okay. Now that's a good joke, but let's say this. Now let's look at this. The mass firing that they had of black women wouldn't have happened. Let's think about that though. Now black men may not have gotten fired in mass, but and I get that that's a joke. But what Donald Trump did with his quote unquote attack on DEI, that would have never happened. So those black women who had jobs that I don't know if you want to say they really didn't matter or they were really weren't worth anything or they were just used as jobs. People look at certain jobs with a certain viewpoint. Whatever you think about those particular jobs, they wouldn't have got fired. They still be there.
Roger. The lines would be longer. The wait times would be longer. You have more of a bad attitude at the auto zone from the chick that's supposed to find your auto parts. All customer service with the women in it would have been hell. And P. Diddy would be free.
Wait a minute. You telling me if Kamala Harris would have won the election, that was going to affect customer service? Is that what you're telling me, Floyd? Is that what you're telling me?
I really believe so. Bro. I'm sorry. I just had that right gut feeling because it was already getting crappier when she was running. Chicks taking long breaks. You on the clock. All the girls huddled up. ain't not trying to help you with no. You can't even buy air freshener. These girls all doing their own thing, like they on break at work. They at work, they on a long break.
Now, you sure you're not just displaying some level of misogyny, saying that black women would not have performed their job any better because they have a president who is a quote unquote black woman? You don't think they would have stepped up to the plate because they got a black woman in office and they want to represent? You don't think that would have happened?
I should have been represented for. I don't think that would happen. Anybody that was AKA definitely would have been claiming they the best sorority in the world. We would have been telling AKA nothing.
Well, I mean, the AKAs would have had something on it. That has been something special to them. We got the first black president. So yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, they would have definitely did something with that, and I would have to agree that when it came to black women in customer service, it probably would have had a negative effect because there are things that indirectly affect people, and having Kamala Harris as a president of the United States probably would have had some type of negative effect on black women in customer service because there are some that don't give the best customer service already. And you got a black woman president behind you, and black women are very much into symbolism. Let's be realistic about it. They are very much into symbolism. So yeah, it probably would have affected them. Just being real. Okay. Shout out
But
to
also,
Detroit.
there wouldn't be no $40 handshake anymore.
Yeah.
It'd be $160.
All right.
Minimum. 160 minimum.
Now, shout out to Detroit 313. He says, no wonder the inflation went skyrocket high. Now I wonder why. Until I got high, I got high. Detroit 313. I see what you did right there, brother. I see what you did again. And I'm gonna say this: would there be any controls on inflation had she been in office? Because she just don't seem like she care. I'll say that. She don't seem like she care. I will say that. She don't seem like she care. And shout out to Ellis Active. I think he's making a good point. He said, I'm using the A word, deleting children allowed in the chat. Oh, he said is using the A word. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, I just be hearing what people be saying, but I don't be checking into that stuff for real. I need to, but I don't be checking that stuff for real. And from the chat is probably very much different. So you're probably okay. You know, unless somebody starts spamming it or something like that. But I do think that's a good point. Now, would anything change when it comes to women? And I'll say it, but I'll say this, y'all. As far as the guests, y'all don't go say the words that with these suspect things going on. But yes, would there have been any changes to abortion clinics or anything like that? No, them changes wouldn't have came about because it wouldn't have been an issue for Kamala Harris. No, wait a minute. Kamala Harris, she was she was definitely a pushing abortion freedom. She was definitely a pushing that. So the changes that would have happened were the changes that did happen because Trump was saying, let's get stuff back to the States. None of that would have happened. So yeah, the numbers would be up more because of convenience. Let's just keep it real. Because of convenience alone, the numbers would have been up. All right.
Russian roulette.
Well, you know, I mean, it is what it is. They gonna do what they want to do when it's convenient. You know, let's just keep that real. They're gonna do what they want to do when it's convenient. You know, and you know, I'm gonna say the population would look slightly different because I know a lot of people don't really ask themselves who is the kids that the black women are getting rid of. What's your group of men are they getting rid of the kids? Now, it is my theory, if you are more of a productive, functional, respectable brother that believes in black men's leadership, those are the ones they're getting rid of. If it's Pookie kids, she ain't got that much of an issue having Pookie's kids. Long as she believes she can get some state sponsored or government sponsored stuff, yeah, she'll have that kid. It's the brothers who ain't gonna play with her, who gonna take having a child seriously. I think those are more along the lines of the kids they actually get rid of. You know, because they don't want to deal with a man acting as a father. Or not a black man anyway. Now, if you're not a black man, that don't apply. But a black man who is respectable, productive, functional, and believes in black men's leadership, I think those would be the ones they would have gotten rid of. You know, it's like going to court, y'all. I dare you to go to any court on any day you want to, and court is available. The people you see up in there for child support, it is not gonna be. It ain't gonna be Pookie like that. It's gonna be the productive brothers. Cause see, they want to control those guys, and they want to control what happens with the children with those guys. So that's why my theory is the more respectable, productive, functional brothers that believe in black men's leadership. I think those are the children that get the axe. I'll say it like that. Those are probably gonna be the children that get the axe. It's not gonna be Pookie's kids. She cool with having Pookie's kids. Go ahead, brother.
Right. Do you think financial abuse will be a felony?
Well, I mean, the idea would be further along than what it is. You know, I mean, she can't get in office and just magically start making laws. Now we got to keep that in mind too. She can't magically start making laws. But would it be much further? Would it be a bigger idea than it is right now? Probably. You know, because she would have done nothing to slow that down at all. So I'm pretty sure it would be a bigger idea than what we have going on right now. And shout out to Detroit 313 again. He says, to be honest, imagine Kamala Harris going against BRICS. I would be living in China or other countries. Question is, would USA survive under Kamala against BRICS or balance the petrodollar? Now, I'm gonna say this, y'all. It's hard to tell how that would come out. My personal belief, though, is whatever the powers that be really had planned, that's what we'd be doing. Because I don't think she would be making those decisions. That's the way I see it. I don't think she'd be making those decisions. What's that?
I think Tiffany Henry would be handling that.
Lord have mercy. Now, she stepped in to save Tiffany Henry some kind of way. You know, as a president, could she step in and stop an investigation or something? I mean, she probably would have lent Tiffany Henry some support. I would say that. You know, real talk. She would have did whatever she was able to help Tiffany Henry out, because it would have turned into a black woman empowered thing. Okay, so yeah,
I gotta help her out. She's AKA too, brother. I think she's AKA too.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting set of circumstances. I'm gonna just say that. Interesting set of circumstances.
And let's not forget that the alphabet mafia would be bigger. You know what I mean?
You said the what would be bigger?
The alphabet mafia.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they definitely would have been it definitely would be more no hold barred when it comes to them. I definitely believe that for sure. That's for sure. Would it have increased in size? Of course, it won't magically increase in size just because she's president. But would more people come out and say they are if they were hiding? Yeah, I believe so. Even though I don't think there's any reason to quote unquote hide it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a perfectly accepted thing when it comes to the United States. Let's just keep that real. It's a perfectly accepted thing to be part of the LGBT community in the United States. I don't think you have anybody tripping over that for real. You know. And shout out to LS Active. He says Uber abortion, divestment of foreign policies, and assigned paternity. The ripple effect will be felt worldwide. I believe he was going to say black women worldwide will show their behinds to black men. Now, I do agree that they would show their behinds to black men. But now I'm going to say this. Divestment foreign policy. Look, sometimes people just overuse the word. Black women aren't divesting. Divesting is actually getting married to a white man. So black women are not divesting. You just got black women shouting, about how they want to. You got black women who get Googled out over white men and things like that, but they're not marrying those women. Okay? There ain't no real divestment move. You can't have a divestment movement without them marrying somebody. Now you could say swirlers would go a little bit harder in the paint, because what you have is women who are trying to. Well, you got some women who date white men, and the thing is, none of these numbers are any significant numbers. Like that whole group of black women being white men is an insignificant group. It's hardly nobody. I understand. You got women over the internet wanting to be with them, but there are not women on the internet who are actually with them in any large number whatsoever. You just got women who want to be with them. So there's really no swirlers and there's really no divestors. You just hear women who want to be those things. Now, would it increase the way that black women kind of look toward white men across the planet? I'm not going to say it would change anything, but more than likely, people would be bolder about telling the truth about it. I would probably say that, because you would have a black woman in office who's married to a white man. So would that affect other women around the world to be more honest about it? Probably. They'd be more honest about it, But I think that's where the change would be. They would be more honest about the fact that they actually want a white man. It may not be in droves. It may be subtle because they can't operate the same way in other countries per se as you can in America. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure the visual part of seeing a black woman as a president who actually married to a white man, I think that's going to have an effect on their egos. I definitely believe that. Okay? I definitely believe that. And that's real talk. All right. All right. Now, I'm looking at this to see if this is anything. Positive Vibe says divestment takes something as property, authority, or a right away from someone else, someone or something. No, Positive Vibes. No, I believe they were talking about how black women talk about it on the internet. They call themselves, if you're unaware, which I don't know how you would be, but if you are unaware, black women on the internet call themselves divestors. And the thing about being a divestor is you have to actually marry a white person. They call themselves divesting from the black community by marrying a non-black man so they can be part of a different community. That's what they're referring to. At least that's what I believe they're referring to. So it's this whole movement, and then men keep calling women divestors, but they're not getting married to anybody. So even though they've heard the term, the men are misusing the term, okay? Because they call the women divestors who are not even married. The thing about being a divestor, you actually have to marry somebody who's not a black man. And that's why I say it's not a big movement at all. It's just people talking about it. Why? Most black women can't get married to anybody, let alone somebody outside of a black man. A lot of people forgot that. All right. And truth be told, the reason that we have around 75% of black women who are unmarried alone is because a lot of those marriages in that 25%, them older people, y'all. Them boomers and up. A lot of them marriages are boomers and up. Well, as we keep going in one decade after the other, you're going to see that marriage rate drop significantly, I'm sure, because it ain't going to hold around 25% because the older people are going to die off. The older people who are actually married are going to die. It just is what it is. They're just not going to be around anymore, And I said I want any of them to die quickly. I'm saying that's a realistic part of what's going on. They're not going to be here anymore to hold up even at 25%. And shout out to Detroit 313. He said if Kamala Harris about to fart, black men would vote for her over 95%. at the voting booths just saying, though, well, the black men who vote clearly are going to vote in the direction that black women tell them to. Let's just keep that real. Okay? That's what's going on with most black men. All right? With the ones that vote. They vote the way they believe women want them to vote. Because black men, real talk, are extremely supportive of black women. Okay? Because black men look at a lot of stuff from the wrong position, and they still trying to earn the black woman. That's what they call themselves doing. So the ideal of a black woman running for office, of course they was going to support that. And black men did. Let's not act like they didn't do that. Okay? Black men were very supportive of Kamala Harris. Okay? She's a black woman. Once you say she a black woman, the average black man is going to support it, period. That's just the way it works, at least in this country. Okay. Okay. Shout out to AJJ. He says yes, blue content would have went up. He's talking about blue pill content, y'all. As a matter of fact, he just said it right there. Now, blue pill content would it have went up? I'm not gonna say it would have went up, y'all, because content creators are content creators. Okay, so would it have went up? I'm not gonna say yes per se. I'm gonna say people who are naturally gonna become content creators over time. Yes, it's just gonna be more of them that's gonna do so. But I don't think Kamala would have affected that too much. That people out here gonna do blue pill content anyway, because that's the world that they recognize and that's the world that they're comfortable in. Okay, so why would they change? So I don't think it would have been more blue pill content, because that would, if you think about it, that would suggest people who do red pill content would have to stop doing red pill and then go blue pill. I don't think that would have necessarily happened in droves. Now is somebody gonna do it? Probably, but would it have happened in droves? Not necessarily, because the people who do red pill content, most of them already done looked into the abyss, as they say, and we recognize what it is. So I don't think if you were actually doing red pill content, I don't see a reason to change. What's different now if you got her in office? What difference would that make to a content creator? Now, shout out to LS Active. He says sex works. Now, would sex workers go up? Sure. I definitely believe that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, yeah, absolutely. And I think a Kamala Harris presidency would support sex work in a way that has never been supported before. I definitely believe that. Okay? I definitely would believe that. All right? So, yeah, sex work would have definitely gone up. Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't have happened, And shout out to AJJ. He says the bag would have been more attractive, Roger. I mean, it's content creators. These are different individuals that's going to do content. At the end of the day, what red pill person is going to go blue pill? Basically none. That's what I'm saying, y'all. These are content creators. If you come out as a red pill person, you already said you don't agree with most of society. That's how it's going on in their minds. You already don't agree with the society. So with blue who is going to go from red to blue when they already against the blue? You see what I'm saying? What would that presidency matter to an individual content creator? That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. What would that presidency matter to an individual content creator? It would have been the same as usual, if anything. Okay? It would have been the same as usual, if anything. Because, it ain't like Donald Trump got in office and people became red pill, because he ain't got nothing to do with whether you red pill or blue pill. Think about it. So no, I'm not gonna say that the individual content creator would have been very different. It would be basically the same thing it is now. Now, what you could say, realistically, the people who own the companies that the content is put up on would they have bothered people more who did red pill content? Probably. Would they hide people who do red pill content more? Now that's very possible. I don't think something's going to change with the individual content creator, but the policies that the companies use that distribute the content could very much have changed. Now, so my thing is, y'all, you got to always look at who's controlling something. So I don't think you would have had more blue pill content. What you would have had is probably more hidden red pill content. I'll say that.
But you also forget that if she were to become president, all you need was to be walking around here with ankle monitors.
Well, this super chat falls right in line with that. LS Actor said more red pill creators on the FBI list. Now that probably is a very true statement. That's probably a very true statement. You know, now at this point, looking at when Donald Trump was elected, let's say she got arrested that day. I mean, she got elected that day. She would have been inaugurated the same January 20th that Donald Trump was inaugurated again for his second presidency. So now that when we go so far from there, because it's about a year, January 20th is coming up very soon. Now, I would say we would have had probably a public spectacle about some red pill content creator getting arrested by now. I would believe that would have happened. Okay. Somebody would have been taken into custody by now. Real talk. I'm not saying they would have had a legitimate reason to take someone into custody, but by now they probably would have got some quote unquote high profile person or whoever they believe is a high profile person, and he probably would have got arrested by now. I believe that because
Michael B. Jordan.
No, I'm saying a red pill content creator would have been like publicly arrested and kind of thrown out there to scare other people. I think that would have actually happened by now.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Now, what were you about to suggest about Michael B. Jordan?
Oh, he'd be shamed for not marrying the Harvey girl.
Well, no, I don't think that would have happened because keep in mind, according to what the sources said, Michael B. Jordan didn't break up that thing. She broke it off. You know,
they said he should just pay the bills and shut the hell up.
I mean, people may have said something toward him, but I think that would have stayed the same because again, it's not that Michael dropped her. According to what the sources said, because it ain't like they confirmed it, but according to what the sources said, that was on her. So they celebrated her getting away from him because they believe she gonna be able to do whatever XYZ is supposed to be without him, and she want to make her own name and all that type of stuff. So I don't think nothing would have changed in that situation. Not realistic. I don't really believe anything would have changed. Maybe somebody would have took a few more shots at Michael B. Jordan, but again, if he didn't dump her, what can you really shoot at? As long as he stay quiet, there'll never be a confirmation that he dumped her. More than likely, you don't know what inside people may do after a certain period of time goes by. But right now, the narrative is she dumped him, so there's nothing for him to explain.
And also patriarchy would be on steroids.
What patriarchy would be on steroids? What are you talking about?
Not patriarchy, PAY, patriarchy would be on steroids. Protect, provide, and shut up.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure attitudes would be a certain way. But realistically, y'all, a president could only do so much. She even as a president would have limited power. That's why I said I think that at best you'd have had whoever is supposed to be some type of big name as a red pill content creator, he probably would have been picked up to scare other people, but that's all they really could do. You know, so Kamala being in office, she can't change how the presidency works. Okay, that's the thing. She can't change how the presidency works. A lot of people are mad about what Donald Trump has done, but Donald Trump, to my understanding, all he did was do stuff that a president can do. I don't know that he did anything that a president can't do. You know, presidents have certain levels of power. Yes, they can write executive orders about how things are carried out, you know what I'm saying, from a office standpoint when it comes to a president. So if you say, well, yeah, you change all this office paperwork and you make it where everything is just you got to pick male or female, all that is office work stuff. So yeah, a president could do that. Okay. Now, those changes can affect people in the country, but a president can do that stuff. So as far as I know, he hasn't done anything that a president can't do. You know, and so Kamala wouldn't get in office and just start doing something a president couldn't do. She could only do what she could do. Now, speaking of that, she wouldn't have made any changes, I'm sure, as far as how the DEI stuff is considered. They would have added more categories to paperwork. Are you male, female? What is it? Binary? Are you
non-binary?
Yeah, non-binary. Yeah, all the other titles and whatnot may have been added to paperwork. I would say that. And then, of course, you would have had the effect of that type of stuff being added to paperwork. You know, because there's an effect on stuff. See, a lot of people, y'all don't really believe words are powerful until you see it. You know, but that's one way of seeing how words have power. When Donald Trump said you either male or female, you saw people get upset about it. You know, he said on everything we got, it's either one or the other. Okay, I don't care which one you pick, but it's gonna be one or the other. You know, so, and people got their panties in a bunch. So words do have power. You know, it's just you want to be on the good end of that power. You know, so she's still just a president. She's still limited on what she can do. Now I'm gonna say the spirits of the people. Now that's different. Now would black women act more stuck up amongst black men than they already do? Absolutely, because that's the attitude of an individual person. And yes, in droves, black women would have acted that. They would have definitely acted worse than they are acting right now.
You know what else would have happened?
And what's that?
Not only they would be in power, I think some black women would have been would have shot on Kevin Samuel's grave already.
Well, I mean, I don't think the presidency is stopping them from doing that. They just ain't had the idea to go do it yet. That's all. I don't think that would have changed it. They just ain't went and did it. That's all. You know, because if a black woman wanted to do that, she would have did it anyway. Ain't nobody. They're not worried about Trump being in office to not do that. And the thing is, it's just easier and more convenient for them to do it verbally than to actually go do it physically. And because verbally they already have. You got to think about it. Verbally they already have. So I don't think nothing would actually change as far as them physically going to do it, because they get off on the verbal part. So I think that would have pretty much stayed the same. The attitudes of people can definitely change, but there are certain things that can and can't change when it comes to, what can be done legally. Okay. Now, would you have black women maybe come off some depressants or something like that because they're happy Kamala's in office? Probably not. Probably not. Okay. Because they would still be miserable anyway. Because even if Kamala's in, now I'm gonna say this, y'all. Realistically speaking, Kamala's being president, I believe a lot of more black women would have had higher expectations on what a man is supposed to do for them, especially white men. And honestly, with Kamala being in office as president, and they look at her with her white husband, truth be told, I think a flip side to this that people wouldn't have really thought about or saw coming I think more black women would have got more depressed because the president of the United States has a white husband. Black women think in crazy ways, and I honestly believe if they see a female black president with a white husband, that they would somehow believe white men would be more accepting of them. And that would have been a key thing for white men to marry them. So I think when they would have come to the realization that her being president is not going to have an effect on an individual white man wanting to marry her, I would have got more depressed.
And also,
if you think about this from a realistic standpoint, I'm sorry, say that again.
Gun control would have ramped up. Now you wouldn't be allowed to even buy dynamite or fireworks.
Now, I would say that is something that probably would have been affected. As much as she could do to support gun control would have been done. I would say that everybody who's trying to gain more control over weapons in the United States, you know, anything that she had to veto, if it had something to do with gun control, no, it wouldn't get vetoed. You can definitely get those bills through, because keep in mind, Congress was still going to pass the bills through. Would they have been far more comfortable trying to come up with bills for control of guns? Absolutely. Would she veto any of those bills? Probably not. Now, I do believe that's a real thing. So, yeah. Shout out to Vina Warren, who obviously is I'm going to say probably first time hit with this statement. She said, nah, we not voting for her. It's a wrap. I don't know what you think is going on in this country, but over here we not promoting that people vote for it anyway. But the name is Tavina, so I'm assuming that's a female name. If you think they ain't voting for her, if she runs again, I don't know if the Democrats don't put up to run again, but if she runs again, if you think black women ain't voting for her, you crazy. Now, if you just saying she ain't gonna get in office, cool. But if you think black women ain't voting for her, you're insane. So they definitely gonna vote for her. Because all black women need is the idea that she is black and she's a woman, and they good. They don't need nothing else, and they prove that. Okay, they prove that. And Tavina, nothing to do with you personally, but don't use all caps in the chat. Okay, don't use all caps in the chat. All right. Now, Tavina did just say all immigrants got to go. Yeah, I just walked in. I'm responding from the title. Well, I mean, relax and see what's going on first. That's all. Relax and see what's going on first. And if you're responding to the title, it says, what if? This is not a real thing. So you don't have to come in aggressive. This is not a real thing. This is not something we're actually living through. It's just a what if. Okay, we're not living through this. And hopefully we will never live through this. So just relax. It's gonna be all right. It's just a discussion. You even allowed to join the discussion. But we're talking about literally what would have happened had she gotten elected. Okay. And since you're responding to the title, you say all immigrants gotta go. That definitely would not have happened had she got elected. There would be no issue with trying to put immigrants out if she got elected. The immigrants was eating good while she was in office. Okay? The immigrants was chilling while she was in office. The immigrants, I heard they was getting nice hotels and everything while she was in office. So, yeah, it wouldn't be no push to get rid of no immigrants if she had actually got elected. Now, I understand she said something about the immigrant situation when she was running. Now, let's remind folks, she said that as a sitting vice president with a president who obviously couldn't run the country. So who was running the country when Biden got to the point that he could no longer run for office, who do y'all think was running the country? Now I understand it wasn't a plan for it to come out that Biden was not mentally there to run the country. But if he can't run for a president, how could he run the country? All right.
On the side note, Black people probably would have had a few unmarked trucks in front of his house trying to send him a message.
That hold on, let me read this real quick. Shout out to Tavita Warren, y'all. I think this probably is a Black woman. She said, "Listen, I am calm. Don't tell me to calm down. You down nothing that I said was wrong or offensive, so please." And then said, "I'm out." That's a Black woman. That's somebody just trying to find a reason to be mad at somebody. Nobody cares, Tavina. If you're listening, nobody cares. I just said calm down. Okay? Nobody cares about what you said. You're not that important here. And I don't know if you don't know it or if you really believe that you just go around to random places and people just think you're important. You don't even count here for real. Okay? You're not that important. Okay? So if you really want to leave, go on leave. Hey, nobody really care you here. Let's be realistic. Nobody cares you even came. Okay. But Shark Sims is coming up. So let me let Shark get the mic. Shark, what's your take on this, brother? What's your take on this? If Kamala Harris would have won that election, brother, a little time has went past. What do you think we would be? What's to it, my brother?
Peace, everybody. Happy Thursday. We literally would be in turmoil. America would literally be in turmoil right now, but it wouldn't be on the news. But you'll be looking out your window and it'll be straight chaos going on out here. Because it was straight chaos going on when Biden was in office. As far as Biden running it, I don't think Biden was running it. I don't think she was running it. I think Obama and his crew was running it, and they was going to be running it again if Kamala Harris got into office. You know what I mean? And second, the LGBTQ would have been running rampant. And I think Black women would have got a very ill wake-up call because she don't mess with Black people like that. Like, she do not mess with us like that. It would have been I think it would have been Obama, but a lot worse.
Now, Obama and his crew running it behind closed doors. That's an interesting take. I can't say that you're wrong. And truth be told, I'm more likely to believe that than she was actually running stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because she do come across as the type of woman who just gonna kind of do what she's told to do. And I do agree with you. I don't know any indication that she really messed with Black women like that. I don't know. I don't think she messed with Black men like that.
So what you're saying is that she's a submissive woman?
No, she messed with Black dudes. It's documentations that she been messing with a whole bunch of Black dudes, even some prominent name guys that we know. You know what I mean? But not know personally, but know as far as in the world of entertainment and stuff like that.
No.
But I ain't never really heard her messing with no Black women. And just listening to Kamala, I hate to pronounce people's names wrong. Kamala Harris talk. She don't identify with nothing Black as far as woman wise.
Well, I'm gonna say when I say messing with Black dudes, I'm using it in the context that she does things to be supportive of Black men. I'm using it in that context.
Oh, copy. No, I don't think so. I agree. I can agree with you. My fault. Sorry about that.
No. It's all good. I ain't trying to say you're wrong. But context does matter. Now, does she know a Black man? Does she operate with a Black man? Yeah, I can say sure. Yeah, but doing something to help Black men, I don't see any. I don't remember anything that would indicate to me that she was supportive of Black people in general. When I start looking researching her,
I got to push back a little bit, Roger. She is in support of Black men. She's in support of keeping the 3 strike law in effect, so the Black man can stay in jail forever. That's what she's support of.
Well, yeah, I can say, yeah, she support a nigga being locked up. I mean, yeah, if you mean it like that, yeah, I can roll with that. I can definitely roll with you with that. Shout out to LS Active one more again. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. He says, at least he would give black men weed to ease the stress. I'm going to say, no, not that I can tell. Not that I can tell. I think when it comes down to it, she would have made it more difficult for black men to get weed because she definitely in support of white people owning weed, white people owning the distribution of weed. You know, if these folks truly wanted to support black men, and even with their low level thinking, they did everything they could to make it where anybody who's just like a regular old black man, y'all keep in mind when they start legalizing weed, the regular dude that live on the regular street in a regular neighborhood who get to sell to the people of the block, they made it where lead is legal, but he can't do. Okay, so they were literally trying to cut the small guy out. Say it again, Floyd.
They did. Also, one of my cousins, he invested into a plot of land to grow, and the white folks that owned it stole his money.
Yeah. Well, I just want people to understand that they make stipulations on how you can go about even dealing with legal weed, and all the little rules they made. Homie that you get your little, you go through and you get yours from. Now he wouldn't be included as being able to sell legal weed. They definitely made sure they cut out every guy that would have been on any random block. They cut dude right out. So, what did they really do with weed? They made it more expensive for people who want to smoke weed. They made it less convenient because if you go to get it legally, you got to travel more to where you got to get it from. Ain't nobody coming to you like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it real. Back in the day, you just call your weed man. All you need is enough for a couple of months, but he might drop that off to you.
I don't know, Roger. I think them legalizing weed made it more accessible.
To who?
To everybody. Everybody, man, you go down the street in New York City with your windows up, you still smelling weed.
Bro, before they quote unquote legalize weed, I know dudes, you know what I'm saying, that basically live in the middle of the block. I just go a few houses down, I can get some weed.
Yeah, you can
but now that's illegal.
You could still do it. Well, they still able to do it. It is kind of illegal to a certain extent. I agree with you right now.
Yeah, they made it where that's illegal. Yeah,
but they still doing it. The problem with a lot of people that was doing it illegal is it like you could get something better from a dispensary, right? Or one of them like Cookies and Jungle Boys and all. You could get something better from them than you can get from Daryl, and Daryl going to charge a little bit more still. You know what I mean? So while we gonna mess with Daryl, we could go right here to the dispensary, man. And the people still selling weed, like, you know what I mean? But I think it made it more accessible to everybody. My mama's smoking now. I'll be on the phone. I'm hearing her puff. I'm like, wait, hold up, you smoking? Yeah, help me sleep. I said these niggas is crazy.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
I think that's what it is too. It medicalized it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna say as a person who does not smoke weed, because I don't smoke. Okay.
Yeah, me neither. I had to quit.
That's not the reports I'm getting. I'm just gonna say that. That's not what I'm getting. You the first person to say that to me. That's what I'm gonna say. So, and maybe that's a regional thing because I've talked to the most weed smokers I've talked to are people in the Chicago area. I've talked to a few people that do a lot of traveling and things like that, but most of the folks I've talked to live in the Chicago area. So I don't know. I'm gonna say I just don't know. Okay, I just know when they made weed legal, they made sure a regular black dude was not gonna be included with the legal selling of weed. That's my main point. I know they did that. Now, shout out to Bad Black Gamer. He says Kamala dad lives in DC and she don't talk to him. Well, if she don't talk to him, that says a whole lot about what she's willing to do for black men. Because that's a good point, Bad Black Gamer. She don't talk to him. And I appreciate the 57-cent trail Bentley tax, my brother. Appreciate that big time. And I'm going to say shout out to my main man, Afro National. Okay. He dropped $20.57. So shout out to you, my brother, for that. Appreciate that. Lunch on you today. Thank you very much. I needed that. And shout out for the Trail Bentley tax as well. Appreciate that big time. Appreciate that big time. And LS Active says, at least you would give black men weed. I read this one. At least you would give black men weed to ease the stress. Now, give black men weed. I don't know. Yeah. But shout out to No Placeholder for the super sticker. Yo, shout out to No Placeholder for the super sticker. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. Matter of fact, No Placeholder's coming up right now, so we're gonna let him get the mic. No Placeholder, you got it, my brother. What's going on? Did the weed?
The weed woke him up. The weed talk woke him up.
Yeah, I had to come in. Morning, brothers. Morning.
I got to give my take on this now. It got too.
Yeah, I said I'm not disagreeing with my man Shark Sim, my fellow New Yorker. You know what I'm saying? Is not. I mean, they did make better quality grass available to the rest of us. I agree with that because we used to have to deal with some trash shit that came out of Mexico in the past, because that was kind of the only place you can probably like get that much amount of weed, like hundreds of pounds, stuff like that, because it's kind of hard to grow all that when they was. So you can get nice bud up in like the mountains of like Washington, Oregon, or maybe like California, but those are like the few spots, maybe British Columbia, but those are like a lot of work to get that like to the East Coast and shit like that. I'm saying, but yeah, so it's things have significantly gotten better in terms of the quality of the bud, but I agree with Roger. I'm saying the everyday man has been pushed out of the business because the people that are becoming millionaires right now are like, you wouldn't like for example, it's like some feminist friggin' like nurse practitioner that owns a dispensary down the road from my house. You know what I'm saying? And if you wanted to basically open a dispensary, they make it difficult for you to basically do so. Roger's not lying. Like here, you would have to have like $2 million of actual cash available to put up front, because they made the process so expensive in terms of like getting your license, having insurance, and all these other things that they make you do before you can. And you also have to pay the state to inspect your product, or basically pay the state to basically participate in a program where somebody inspected for you. And so it's like I'm saying, don't get me wrong, but they didn't, Roger's right. They didn't make it so that everybody can sell weed. That was basically what we thought decriminalizing or making it legal would be, like everybody, but that's not what they did. They just made it so that rich white people can sell weed to everybody else. That's why I agree with Roger.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. We gonna make it where rich white people can control the distribution of weed, and all you niggas trying to make your little come up off weed. Guess what? Y'all still illegal. Now what? Now I would say, as a person who does not smoke weed, I can believe what Shark is saying about getting different weed to different places, because it's easier for weed to travel now, because it's, you have these places where it's legal. So to me, it just makes sense. Now that you have weed that's legal, it travels a little bit better. You can get some better stuff in a place that you really couldn't get it beforehand. So that makes sense. That's a natural thing, because it's now a legal thing. You can ship it somewhere or whatever the case is. You can have somebody drive it in and they ain't gonna get stopped and ask a whole bunch of questions. No, this is what we do. I sell weed for a living, and that's it at the end of the day. So weed will travel better now.
But it got so bad in New York, they had to make it illegal to smoke outside now. Like it's certain places in Long Island you can't even smoke in public no more because it got so bad.
Well, the thing is, these are not changes that had anything to do with her. Yeah, let's keep that real too. Now, she this stuff was already in place. Now, how would her presidency affect any of this? I don't think it really would have. I don't think it really would have, because the American people have pretty much accepted that, American people have been saying for a long time weed shouldn't even be illegal in the first place. So I don't think her presidency would have really had any positive effect on it. maybe a negative effect if she was against it or something like that. But I don't know if she's against it or anything. So I don't see it
It'd be
making
positive for
any
the teachers,
significant
right?
difference. But her being president or not president, I just don't think this is a significant category for her presidency.
Wait, when did it? Who legalized it? Like who made it really really possible? That thing possible, was it Biden
Who
and
was in
them?
office when it became legal?
Biden and them?
Trump?
It might
No,
it
no,
might
no,
have
no,
been.
no, no. Oh, hold on. I think you
What's
guys are
that?
mixing it up. Federally, it is still a Class D.
Yeah, it is.
Still a Class D. They basically said that the federal government is not going to prioritize it, but they're not going to remove it from the books, and they allow the states to handle how they want to handle it. So it's saying
Yeah.
so so it
So if she was in power, she still could get you over it because they never took it off the book, and stuff like that is done for a reason, y'all. You know,
I
and,
just was going to say that was the Trojan horse because everybody is sky high off of weed and not realizing how effed up the country is getting more and more and more day by day because you're high.
yeah. Now
And the mortality rate too. I was listening to one of my mentors the other day. They're saying we is actually they were going through the whole thing about childbirth and how we as the men, we're the creators of the babies. We create the placenta, but we, for those who are weed smokers, you increase the likelihood of your child being miscarried. The more weed you smoke.
Mm-hmm. Remember,
that's a misconception.
right?
I smoke a lot of weed, and I've also done the research. There is a detriment to smoking weed, but it more or less affects motility, not actual DNA. So
Well,
and and the concept of miscarriage is a functional element of the health of the female. You understand that a sperm is literally just a package of DNA with a tail. I'm saying everything else is on the female's egg. Everything, like the food, the everything. So you just come and you just spark it. That's all you do. But everything that the baby's gonna need is that she has it. I'm saying you just come along to basically start the process. So
well,
the only
Roger,
thing you can do as a man, but
remember what Dave Chappelle
all
said
right,
about the weed smoking
all right,
chicks.
all right, y'all. I don't know what lane y'all trying to get in, but we talking about this presidency. If she was president, I don't know where y'all going at this point. And I got two guests that got to get in. So let these guys get in, and y'all got the audience out here talking about I'm finna go light one up now. So all right. This is not a show where I'm over here trying to promote people to smoke weed. I'm trying to talk about how it would be if Kamala would have won this last election cycle. So Black Uru is here, so I'm gonna go ahead and let him get the mic, and then we'll get Bad Black Gamer in right behind him. Go ahead, Black Uru. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, Roger, thanks for having me. I hope you and gentlemen on the public chat, the folks in the, and of course the brothers on the panel are doing well. There are a lot of, I guess, negative or questionable things that can be said about the current or the second term of the Trump presidency. Yeah, but I'm very confident in saying that one of the truly best things to happen for any notion of a Black American family, a Black American community, was Donald Trump getting reelected. I think if Kamala Harris gets elected president, any kind of fantasy of Black men and Black women, particularly ADOS men and women, coming together in any sort of community thing. And I'm talking macroscopically. I'm certainly not talking about individual people making individual decisions. But macroscopically, from a societal standpoint of Black people coming together, would have been over. It would have been torn asunder. The effects that it would have had on the psychological, sociological, psychological effects, I believe it would have had on millions of Black women and girls would have been irrecoverable. And it would have been to the point in which that um, that young Black men in particular, young Black men and boys would have been out, like way out. Like the HBCUs, maybe they're 70% female now. They probably would be 90% female, you know, probably halfway through, most of the way through a Kamala Harris presidency. So, I mean, I guess I'll end my opening statement there. I'll get into some detail later. But like I say, the best thing that came out of Trump getting reelected was, in my view, that woman not being president of the United States of America.
All right. Sometimes a loss for somebody could be a win for somebody else. Bad Black Gamer, you got the flow, my brother. You got the flow.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Salutes to the chat and salutes to Roger and everybody on the panel. Hopefully y'all hear me well.
Yeah, we hear you fine, brother.
All right, good. I'm going to back up Ruru just said. I actually agree with 100% what he said, and I want to go in a little bit more detail about that. First of all, Kamala would have been putting a white family into the White House, not a Black family. Because if you look at when Obama got elected, well, part of the reason why we voted for Obama was because Michelle Obama, and she was a Black lady that was they had Black kids, and they were bringing like their Black mother, you know, into the White House. So we actually saw like a Black family getting put into the White House, right? If Kamala had gotten elected, she would have been bringing that white husband of hers and his white kids from another wife. So they'll been like, I don't think the image of that would have like worked out for us, you know, as Black men and you know, like Rule said, Black men and Black women relationships, you know, and look at that, you know what I'm saying? It'll just be like a white family going into the White House, you know, with this woman that happens who really is Asian, but they say she's Black. And the one thing I want to say, because I brought it up in the in my super chat, is that her father, the thing that makes her Black, that they claim that makes her Black, the Jamaican father, Donald J. Harris, because I live in the DMP. I live in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. He lives right down the street in D.C. Like her professor, educated professor, you know, Stanford professor father lives in D.C. and she has nothing to do with him. So to me, that tells you that the fact that you don't even have a relationship with your father, who is a Black man, what kind of relationship you're going to have with other Black? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think like it would have benefited us. Like I think it would actually hurt us if she had actually gotten elected as a community. Just because I mean she don't even like she's more Asian. She has more Asian roots than she does, you know, Jamaican roots, because she didn't really grow up with a father. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean I'll just land my plane right there. But I just wanted to get that kind of get that point in. The fact that she's been in this White House this whole time and she never talks to her own father, and she claims that and when she was running for election, what did she run on? She went to run on the fact that she's Jamaican descent. But yet you don't talk to your own, you don't talk to your own Black father. And to me, since I got a daughter and I'm a father, I have a problem with that. That's like a red flag to me. And you married to a white man, which means that you under the white man's leadership, not a Black man's leadership. So yeah. I'll let my plan right there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think literally, like, if she would have became president, all that Black manosphere and just manosphere period, y'all would have been like public enemy number one. All y'all would have been on Guantanamo Bay, Uru right next to Roger's cell, all that. I'd have been writing y'all letters and shit. Like, I miss y'all fellas, man. Damn, Uru, you good? You need some noodle money?
Wait a minute, you would have been writing us letters.
You in New York?
What kind of deal are you making? Where we in Guantanamo, Yeah, you still out.
Yeah, brother, you right
He
there
would
in
have been
New
down.
York.
I think State said he would have been down the south.
Now,
Oh
well,
man,
you know
Shark
what?
is
Now we
getting
I'd
know
have
down
been like,
south,
I
man.
don't. I'd have been like, I do not know them niggas,
yeah,
State. I don't know them niggas.
Sark would have told us the truth, man.
I
Sark would have
don't
been
know
over there
them niggas.
eating steak while giving
Yeah,
them names. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you. I talked to Roger, man. This is where you find them.
I'm like, Miss Harris. I don't know them niggas.
Look, it's funny. It's funny, but I mean, I genuinely believe that this would have been an outlawed activity if that woman would have been president. And even if well, first of all, in her book, she cited the quote manosphere as being part of the reason why she lost the election. And she even named some names. Now I don't think she named any names directly associated with the black manosphere. But basically we would have all gotten categorized into the manosphere. And all of particularly the black females that know of the black manosphere and have some first, second, or third degree of separation to Kamala Harris. And usually they do, especially because she's in a sorority, which means that there are people who are connected to her, who are aware of and are antagonists of what is said here. And that would have gotten flown up the flagpole. And some of those females and or their male sycophants would have been empowered to come after this space. That's for sure. So, I mean, we can laugh about it, but that would have been a real thing if that woman had become president of the United States. It
Well,
would have become a real thing.
I'm gonna reiterate the fact that by this time that they would have picked out a big name, what they saw as a big name, and he would have already been arrested, and that would have been a scare tactic
Joe
for the
Rogan.
rest of us. So I don't know who they would have picked up, okay, but they would have picked somebody up by now, and maybe two or three with as much time that has went past. Might have been two or three. They'd have been putting their message out there, but I'm gonna give it to Great Black Reset because he done came up. Great Black Reset, you got the flow, my brother.
What's happening, fellas? Man, to follow up Black Uru on what he was saying about Kamala Harris. Man, the gynocracy would be out of control. Um, the college numbers would have been crazy at this point. I think the whole DEI thing would have went the opposite way. I think there would have been a lot less black men in jobs. And I think she would have caused a catastrophic failure fundamentally in our economy, where we couldn't compete. And on the world stage, our economy, man, would be crashing. We would not be pushing forward into technology like we are, um, and we will be going backwards in the technology race. I think that would have been the worst thing that would have came about, because she would have been pushing this envelope of the equality of women, and women are better than men. I think we really would have entered into this blue haired gynocracy where they really believe women are better than men at everything, and they would have pushed that envelope for the next 4 years. Well, it would have been way worse than we are imagining, bro. It would really be time to get on a boat somewhere and get up out of here. That's what I really, truly, truly, truly believe, man. And, I'm gonna land my plane there.
I could agree.
We had no. I don't
Nah,
think we had no passports to get up out of here.
well, I'm gonna say, you know, something might have started with brothers just really leaving for real, And I'm gonna say this from an economic perspective, Kamala would have been doing everything she could to bankrupt this country totally. You know, when you think about all the money that they're so willing to give away, as long as you're not an American, how long do you sustain that before it creates real problems? And how people are looking at us around the world. You know,
Yeah,
we have this currency that's supposed to be the world's currency. How much money can you give away to people that are not Americans, and you're gonna be able to maintain that?
and you remember who her vice president was going to be, right?
No, I don't actually remember yeah, who was who
Tim
was?
Walz. Tim Walz, and you know
Oh yeah, yeah,
he had to take a
Minnesota.
seat after they done found out they was scamming $9 billion worth of money in where he from, Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So if they would have got way more money, like you said, they would have been, man. Listen, they would have had trailer loads of money coming out of
yeah.
our pockets.
As long as you're not an American, and I'm stressing that because if you don't know what people who are not Americans do with American money, the thing that most of them do is send money back home. That's a natural thing. So how much money can you print? And then you got a group of people who's steady getting free money and they steady sending money back home. How much money is the world gonna let you print before they say, no, we're gonna have to change your position in the world? You know, but Kamala would have clearly let them do it. Because everybody say that one of the election points was about that border, but Kamala Harris was the sitting U.S. vice president talking about I'm gonna do something about the border if I get elected,
It
and
never
then
been there.
there was nothing she could do. When the person is the vice president of the United States talking about what I will do if I get elected, you sitting in the seat of power right now. How you can't do nothing now? You know, so to me that's crazy work. But it does tell me that if people would buy that, you buy anything. You know,
If she would have got elected when she got out of office, the next president would have been Black Reset's girlfriend. She'd have
Hey,
definitely won.
that might not have been a bad thing. She might have been vice VP. Hey, but now, and the thing about it, man, the sitting president at the time was ineffective. That man wasn't running our country. So
They call it
it
weekend at
brings,
Bernie's.
man, it brings the
Really, literally.
question: who was running the country? Who was making the decisions while she was in office? And if it wasn't her that was making the decisions, that's even more egregious.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
well,
If she was president, you wouldn't get no Epstein files.
yeah. And
See, we know
that's
when
why.
Reagan.
I'm just gonna say that's why I was calling her the
Who was
acting president of the United States. You know what I'm
She was
saying? Which I
acting.
believe is one of the reasons they probably they ain't got that channel no more because that's what she was. She was the acting president of the United States. If a man can't run an election, he can't run a country.
I agree.
Well, when Reagan
who
was
was the Secretary of
president,
State then?
who was his last term, it was Nancy Reagan that was running because Reagan was going through Alzheimer, and we didn't know it. So really, it was like Nancy Reagan that was making all the calls in the '80s when during Reagan's last term.
Well, I ain't gonna say Nancy was doing it, but you probably had the vice president and a team of people doing it. I mean, what would Nancy know about running a country?
I mean, she probably know
No,
nothing, but I mean, she was
what's his
keeping it.
name? Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger has been around since the '60s.
Mhm.
Henry Kissinger is familiar with foreign policy and everything, man. That dude has had all type of pies politically.
And during the '80s, we were still living in a time of them actually telling the women sit their ass down. So I find it very difficult to believe that Nancy Reagan was making any real
Yeah.
decisions at all.
And,
I don't
and
think she was making any real decisions, but I think she was running like day-to-day stuff, like simple stuff. Just to keep the fact that he was going to Alzheimer's.
I mean, realistically, y'all, there's politicians in the White House. I don't ever remember anything about Nancy Reagan having any form of a political career. Are politicians gonna sit there and listen to her when they could just take over? I'm pretty sure it was just a team of people who just took over, and Nancy was not that team. Now, I understand Reagan was that's a long time ago, and I was a kid. Do Nancy Reagan have any political background?
I'm not sure.
I've never heard that mentioned. I've never
Yeah,
heard of that.
Daddy Bush was around then too. Remember, Daddy Bush was part of the CIA, so
Well,
it
I'm
had
just
political
saying
influence even then too.
the politicians would have been running stuff. It wouldn't have been Nancy. That's what I'm saying. Nancy is just a wife. I don't think she had any political career at all. She's just a wife. So therefore, she ain't running nothing. And what
Well,
politician finna let
you
her
got
wife?
you guys are kind of simplifying what happened there. See, Nancy was not a political figure. She didn't have any political power, but she was very protective of her husband, and she was very respected because of her protection of Ronald. Because Ronald to the Republican Party was sort of this almost a regal kind of figure, you know, a glorious kind of image. He was this Hollywood star, very very good looking, very stately, very affable, always good with the one liners or whatever. So even people who didn't necessarily respect Reagan as a political or politician, whatever, had to respect what he represented to the party and what he represented to America. He was an iconic figure, you know, and Nancy was very protective of him as his health was beginning to ail, and so she was respected because of that. So even though she wasn't a politician, she did hold the power of what she was to this great man. And it was so potent that at some point, because really the most important political figure, at least in the earlier part of Reagan's presidency, was Don Regan. He was Reagan's cabinet secretary. He managed the cabinet and managed the White House. And Reagan started to, I'm going to assert power. Reagan is ailing, and he's this old affable man, so I'm going to control everything. And Nancy wasn't having that shit. And the White House got very acrimonious, and Reagan eventually got fired because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nancy was not a political figure per se, but she was powerful because of the leverage she held, being the down ass chick to the great Ronald Reagan. That's what she was, and that's why she was as powerful at that particular time as she was. So she was powerful, but it wasn't in this sort of political way or functionality way. It was the leverage of what she was to this quote great man, end quote.
All right. Now I'm gonna read this, and I got a super chat coming up behind it. Shout out to Mr. Suge Teal. He said, "I'll tell you one thing: if Cam had won, we might not be able to listen to the Roger Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago Standard Time. Hashtag subscribe." I got you in Central Standard Time, but it's Chicago Standard Time, okay?
Well, that's what the C means. The C means Chicago. I know other people might feel a certain type of way about that.
Yeah, that's what he meant, y'all. That's what he meant.
Folks in St. Louis or whatever might feel some type of way about that, but that's Chicago time, baby.
Shout out to LS Active. He says, if Kamala won, Obama wouldn't be alone at funerals and
This is
inauguration.
true. This is true. This is all true. That is all true.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, he been at kicking with somebody. He been at kicking with somebody.
They have to crack it.
Michelle would have been there. She would have been there with him.
Well, yeah. I mean, Michelle wouldn't have missed it. And shout out to LS Active one more time. He said Michelle likely wouldn't have been on YouTube if she won. You know what? I guess there are some benefits. There's a good side and bad side to everything. Would Michelle have a channel right now had Kamala won? I mean, that's a good question. I don't know, because she had to do something with herself. Obviously, she's got to do something with herself. But maybe she would have been working with Kamala at something. Maybe she would have been working with Kamala at something. You know?
No, I think we might by comparison it might be a good thing she is on YouTube, because let's remember she gave a speech at that convention for Kamala. You know, hell, she might have been appointed in some significant position in the Kamala Harris presidential administration.
You know, we were closer.
Oh, we lost him. He got knocked off.
Uh-oh.
He got knocked off.
Got him.
Yeah. Now, see, he about to tell the truth. Get him, pull it down.
Yeah, shit. She might have been Secretary of State or some shit.
Nah, I think she would have. That's why I say, on the other end, there's downsides and upsides to everything. So we got a podcast instead of her getting some real power. So I think that was the trade-off. And I got to say that's probably a pretty good trade-off. All instead of her getting power,
Look, we've listened to Michelle. We've listened to Michelle. We know she's a stark raving mad gynocrat. So now imagine she is in good with the quote black end quote female leader of the free world. Oh yeah, we catching some shit for that. That's for damn sure. This is a woman that publicly said she hated her husband. Come on. It can't be good for the rest of us.
Yeah. I'd rather she just do a podcast. Real talk. I'd rather she just do a podcast.
Do you guys remember the show she did with Shannon Sharp, Kamala Harris, before the election?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to look at that.
If she had started there with her campaign, I think we have a much closer race than people would like to believe. She was just so unlikable that by the time she got chosen to vote the other way, but if she had started there, I think she would have got some momentum, and she could have got some of those swing states. And if she had won, the Democrats would continue to have flooded us with the immigrants.
No, the biggest mistake, the biggest campaign mistake she made was not going on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
She should have went on Joe Rogan. If she goes on Joe Rogan and slays Joe Rogan, then now she's in the mix with white folks, particularly white men. That not going on Joe Rogan, that was a huge campaign mistake. Huge campaign mistake.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say we gotta remember, y'all. Kamala basically had black people. Kamala didn't have the non-black people the way she needed them. We don't really make these decisions.
If she goes on Joe Rogan and she slays Joe Rogan, that puts her in the mix with white men. That puts her in the mix with white women.
Yeah. And especially if they kind of figure out that, she don't like niggas either. If they figure that out, this is like, now it's something I can get behind. She black, but she don't like niggas.
The reason why I'm saying like she does better with us, why it changes because white folk follow us when it comes to culture. And if we accept her culturally, wholly, and completely, they look at it like, well, maybe there is something to this to her that these black folk think she's kind of cool.
Now I don't know. The more I think they ran her
Yeah, but
campaign
you
good.
you don't have enough time for that to in that campaign. You didn't have enough time for that to work.
That's why I
She
say
needed to go on Rogan
if
because
she
that. Listen
if
what I'm
she had
saying.
the
Listen what
better
I'm
early,
saying.
okay, yes sir,
Rogan would have been the direct pipeline to white America, to those
yes sir.
white voters. Now, if you got a full real campaign over a couple of years, I get what you're saying. If she seduces black folks, and then next thing you know, black Negroes are having Kamala Harris cookouts over the summer or whatever. Yeah, maybe. I get that. But the problem it was a truncated, a very shortened campaign. So every day was effectively a week or a month in a regular presidential campaign. And so I say Rogan because to me, Rogan was the only real shot where those white people who specifically did not vote for her or did not want to support her, you have a chance of reaching those people on that particular show in particular.
But
Agree.
but
You get on
ooh,
there and you slay, and then the next thing you know, you got dozens of videos or whatever being generated from that, and her killing on that. That's a chance to flip some votes. That was a
but Uru,
huge mistake for that
do
campaign.
you do you really think that she could have slayed on Joe Rogan? Because I don't. The reason why she didn't
Whether
do a
she
lot of
could have,
interviews.
listen to what I'm saying. Whether she herself have the talent to do it is not the issue. I'm saying if you're going to do it, that's the only avenue you can do it because that's the only avenue where you're going to directly reach the people who did not vote for her, who
Yeah,
specifically voted for Trump, and Trump appeared on the Joe Rogan show.
and did
It
well.
did well,
It
but
would have helped her.
I
Yes,
think the more she talked, the more people see. I think a lot of black people was just drunk off of the fact that she was black. That the fact that we thought she was black. White people wasn't drunk off of that, so they was literally listening to what she was saying, and she don't like. She was just like you remember that one interview that they had to edit the whole joint up for that Trump sued them over, and he won. Like that interview wasn't even an interview that they had. They just totally had to edit it because it's a bunch of salad. Like she was horrible at talking.
yeah. She was a terrible candidate in a terrible situation. And they tried to gimmick up some shit to get her in there. I think we all agree. Yeah.
Yeah, she needed to be vetted more.
Hold on, y'all. Let's keep in mind this is not a show about whether she was qualified. She clearly was not qualified to be president. The Joe Rogan mistake alone said she wasn't qualified to be president. You trying to be
Yeah.
president of the United States and you're not even smart enough to go on Joe Rogan's show. You don't have what it takes. You're not a good decision maker. I mean, y'all. I did a lot of shows about how I was very much anti Kamala Harris while she was running. It's unfortunate we lost those shows, but I talked about that extensively. We're not even suggesting that this woman is qualified. We just talking about what would have happened had she
If
got
she would
in.
have won,
And
yes.
now that y'all done reminded me of how dumb she was coming off, now you really got to put this into the part of what I'm saying now.
But look
Yeah,
look at the look at the Joe. As terrible as she is, what's his name? LeBradford. What's his name?
is it
Scored
Smith?
what 45 points against Michael Jordan in the playoff
Yeah,
game.
is it Smith? I
In
think
a
it's Smith.
fucking playoff game. Yeah, LeBradford Smith scored. That's what would you don't. Once you get in that game,
Right.
there's the chance that you're LeBradford Smith scoring 45 points against MJ in a playoff game.
Yeah,
But guess
So
what? If LaBafford Smith don't play in that game, you don't have that chance of him scoring 45 points against MJ.
right now, I'm not I'm agreeing with you guys 100%. You guys are shining a light on this that I had not considered. What I'm saying about Shannon Sharp was when I saw that episode, I had to admit, I said, "Damn, she actually showed a good personality, a likable personality. It wasn't political. It was just her personal personality." I said, "Damn, if she would have
But you
started
know why it
here."
worked on. You know why it worked on that show in particular, because Kamala likes to fuck black dudes.
Okay.
That was all
Okay.
Yeah, she
charisma.
was attracted to him.
That was all charisma. Yeah, that was all
So
charisma.
I hadn't seen that from her before, and I had to admit, even though I didn't vote
I ain't
for her,
seen it
I had to.
since.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I had
Yeah,
to admit, I said, "Damn." I
right.
said, "They would
That's
have."
a particular kind of. That's that BBC, aka Howard University.
Shannon Sharp
That's
was
that
Mr. Good
Willie
Bar.
Brown thing.
Yeah.
Sharp
That's
was
that
Good
Willie
Bar.
Brown
Oh
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she knew
man.
exactly
Oh
who Shannon
man.
was. See, they ain't had to tell her
Oh
who.
man.
More than likely, they ain't had to tell her who
Yeah.
Shannon
So you
Sharp
ain't got
was.
to train her for that,
Yeah,
cuz.
Yeah.
yeah.
You ain't
She
got to
was
train her.
she
She
was
already been
relaxed.
trained. You already
Don't
She
been
you
was
fuck
trained,
around. Don't you
and
pretend.
probably in
man.
more ways than one.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I was mad with Shannon Sharp. I was like, he tried to sink our ship. Shit, what is
Yeah.
going on? But yeah, man, it would have been terrible, bro. They'd have brought in more immigrants. They'd have been working on naturalizing them so the immigrants could be voting Democrat for their whole lives, bro. We wouldn't have seen a Republican president for the next 50 years, man. We wouldn't have.
All right. Now we got one more super chat. I'm just gonna say, she probably knew exactly who Shannon Sharp was, but may not have really had a clue who Joe Rogan was. That is actually possible with somebody like a Kamala Harris, because she was showing that she wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer on several occasions. She did that on
No,
several
she
occasions.
and her people knew who everybody know who Joe Rogan is, man.
That's
But
why
the
I'm saying what
issue
I'm saying.
was,
She may not
would
have
she
knew.
be able to go? No, listen to what I'm saying, Roger. She knows who Joe Rogan is. They know all about Joe Rogan. She knows all about Joe Rogan. The question is, would she have been able to go on Joe Rogan and do what she needed to do without getting exposed? That was the issue. It wasn't
Nope.
a lack of knowledge about who Joe Rogan is in that. In fact, some of the views of Joe Rogan, ironically, are somewhat askew, because if you observe Rogan from afar, he's actually a pretty liberal dude, but he has had your Elon Musk and that kind of stuff. So he's featured people that have bothered the Kamala Harris kind of people, and so it's been given the impression that his channel represents something that I don't think in this totality it really represents. And they're fearful, they were fearful of that. But a real leader, like let's say if she were the female version of Barack Obama, she goes on that show exactly for that purpose. And slaves.
No, I get what you're saying, but all I'm saying is I definitely know the people know who Joe Rogan is, the people who's running her campaign. What I'm saying is I don't think she knew. I'm not saying she hadn't heard of Joe Rogan. I'm politely saying she don't know who Joe Rogan is. I'm trying to insult her in the nicest way possible. That's really what I'm doing, y'all. I'm trying to insult her in the nicest way possible.
Yeah,
I
I
could
think
feel
I
you
think
on
they
that, but
they
she was
underestimated
literally
it.
scared. Her and Joe Rogan, or her team and Joe Rogan was
No,
literally in
No,
negotiations of doing an interview, and she
no.
just wasn't trying to
I
go
think
along
she
with
was
what
I
needed to be
think
done.
she knows exactly who Rogan is, and she was afraid. They
Yeah,
were afraid about whether or not they could control what comes out of that
There you
interview.
go.
yeah,
That's what the issue was.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. The camp made the decision if she go on Joe Rogan, she gonna mess up. It's so big that we will not be able to recover. That's what her people came. That's the conclusion they came to. Point blank. Period. That's why she didn't show up. If we let her on there, she gonna blow this so bad we will never have a chance to recover. Because why would you turn that opportunity down? That's the only real reason you turn that down. We gonna blow it so bad we will never recover. So they knew what time it was. Now shout out to There I Said It. He says, "Oh God, we would be knee deep in LGBT and Black women empowerment BS. Now, now that DJ Trump is in the gynocracy is weaker than. Excuse me. Now that DJ Trump is in, the gynocracy is weaker than I've seen it in my life." I'm gonna say it's very on point. That is very right on point because Kamala wouldn't be doing anything to get in their way at any level. Okay. Now I'm gonna read this just because I see Perfect Timing Podcast on it. So shout out to Perfect. What's good, my brother? What's good? He says, "I'm not a fan of Kamala, but she was qualified on paper. She was very politically savvy based on she started as a local Black female DA to the White House." I totally get what Perfect is saying. I'm gonna say, yeah, she definitely has some stuff on paper to say she's a good look. I'm gonna say she was a trash candidate, and I'm saying that Perfect because I made many a scream about how that woman is trash as a candidate and needs not to be elected. But yeah, she was a DA. I can't take that from her. She's setting some shit.
She was
I can't take that from her.
carry her. I wish Perfect would come on the panel because I think Perfect would have to admit that she was the cute, light-skinned girl that the great Willie Brown carried throughout California politics. He carried her right up into the California Senate. That's how she. Now, I'm not saying she's a dumb woman. I'm not saying she's a dumb woman. And maybe her campaign style or whatever works in California, but it works in California. In almost 90% of why it worked in California was because of Willie Brown, because of what Willie Brown put together for her. So yeah, you could coast through California if you got the king. You can be a queen in California if you got the kingmaker of California backing everything you do. But the problem is, America ain't California.
And shout out to Perfect Timing Podcast Live. He says she turned down Joe Rogan because he would not do scripted, approved questions. And I'm gonna say, yeah, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's why
you don't do. That means you don't deserve to be president of the United States of America. That's a disqualifying criteria right there.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to act like I ever believed that Kamala Harris was good enough for this job because I definitely had my own. I ain't going to say it was a personal campaign against her, but at the end of the day, there was never anyone who could present a political reason for me to vote for her because I was publicly asking for anybody to give me one political reason on why I should vote for her. And no one ever did. So I am going to say that. I never seen it in the comment section at all.
You knew what the real Kamala Harris was as a candidate when she didn't even make it to the first primary in the 2016 election.
Yeah,
that told you. That told you all you need to know.
She didn't get it. She didn't even get any votes from California when she did that.
Yeah,
no votes.
Yeah.
None.
Yes. She did not have what it takes. She didn't have what it takes. But again, y'all, this show is not about if she had what it takes. It's about what would have happened had she somehow got in there and she beat Trump. So, which is that can't, any random person can win president of the United States. It's not like somebody can't win. So she could have won. People do a lot of crazy stuff. People make a lot of crazy votes sometimes, so anybody, quote unquote, can win. So if she would have won, how would things be different? Now, I'm going to say I think a lot of people would have still been blinded by Kamala. Because y'all remember Kamala at the end was like, well, let me put out this program of what they're going to do, what we can do for black men, and people accepted that. Now, I'm going to say that. People accepted that. When she said, well, this is our agenda that we're going to have
Who are
for
those
black
people?
men. Well, the
Who
people
are
who was
those
on
people?
that,
Yeah, I'm
well,
confused
I
too.
mean,
Hoover.
technically it was a lot of black women
Well,
who
I
said,
don't remember any acceptance of that.
I seen a ton. Well, but I look at stuff. I seen a ton of people saying, "Look what she trying to do for y'all niggas. This what she
Yeah,
trying to do for y'all." Now, remember, she put
Well,
out
but
something that
no,
was.
you say people accept. You say people accept that. No, of course, her sycophants are gonna say, "Look what she trying to do for you niggas." But I don't remember that being any sort of persuasive gesture. I
No, it
remember,
wasn't.
in fact,
It
and
wasn't.
in fact, I remember the criticism being that this is basically shit that's gonna be done for everybody.
It was. It absolutely was. But that did not stop a lot of folks getting online talking about you niggas dumb. Look what she trying to do for y'all. It didn't stop
That
them
was a
big
good point,
folks.
right?
well, remember,
It
There were
Roger,
a few
was
people.
too little, too late.
we 80% of
It,
us
it was
voted
like
for it,
the
so we are dumb.
Now,
I
80%
wouldn't.
of
I
us
wouldn't
did
say
not
because you're
us
vote
dumb.
doing that.
for her.
Yeah.
In fact, the majority of people, Negroes, didn't vote at all.
I feel you. I feel you, Hoover.
Now, shout out to Perfect Timing. He said Black Rule is correct. But later she outplayed Gavin Newsom and took his place in the White House. I agree she was not a great presidential candidate. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody is on
No,
board with
no.
she just wasn't a great presidential
We know
candidate.
some of them people with them small beanie hats supported her. They wanted her in particular. Her husband is one of those guys. Let's be real.
Yeah.
No, that was all orchestrated. She did not outmaneuver Gavin Newsom. And I'm not big up in Gavin Newsom at all. He seems like a snake oil salesman. But she didn't outmaneuver Gavin Newsom. She had all the right people behind her in the little beanie hats and all that kind of stuff, and they maneuvered her. That's how she ended up. But they were not going to make Gavin Newsom uh, Joe Biden's running mate. That was not going to happen in 2000.
Well, and I'm gonna say it looks like the Democratic Party has
Or
already
2020. My bad.
the
2020.
Democratic Party has already made their choice. They want a woman. So my question is just how far are they willing to go to get a woman in the White House? Because they want to be known as the party that got a woman in the White House. That they've made that clear to me. I don't know if
How
other
many
people catching it.
how many immigrants they let in the country again? Let me tell you how far they were willing to go. They was finna get ready to naturalize all those people, as many of them as they could, to get their votes. That's why they were putting them in certain cities. They were going to naturalize them all in order that they vote for the Democratic Party for the perpetual future. But we wouldn't have seen another Republican president in our lifetime had she run.
Yeah.
It would have been a wrap.
Now the champ is here, y'all. The champ is here. So let him get the mic, y'all. Again,
I never got the mic.
we this thing inspired you. My bad, inspired
Yeah,
you broadcast, but
he has to go. He goes
yeah.
first.
But remember, y'all, the subject of the show, because I don't want to keep talking about whether Kamala was good or not. That's not the what if. The what if is what if she had actually won. That's what the subject of the show is. Let's bring it back to the subject. So, Inspired Truth, you got it, my brother. And I see you backstage, brother. I get you up in a second. So yeah, just stay right there. I'll get you up in a second. All right, go ahead, Inspired Truth.
All right. So first off, peace to the chat, peace to you, Raj, and to the folk on the panel. So here's what I think, and I think everybody can probably agree with this one. If she would have won, she would not have been ready. She wouldn't have been ready. We saw that she wasn't ready when she was running. It was kind of like rushed for the most part. We thought that it was gonna be Joe, then it ended up being her. Actually, with her first speech, I think she actually did better than I expected she would do, honestly. If I'm really gonna keep it 100 on that. But the key point out of all of this is like, and it's to everybody, not just Democrats, not just people in politics, not just people in professions, but even down to the blue collar. Like, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And it was abundantly clear that she wasn't actually ready. She didn't really have the setup to transition it over to her campaign. Everything was still basically running off the script of it being a Biden campaign. That's kind of a big factor of why she ended up losing in the first place. And if she would have somehow won the election, she wouldn't have been ready for all of the different things that occurred under her presidency. That's where I think this would have gone to. It would have gone from unprepared with consequences and unprepared with even worse consequences.
Okay. All right, champ, you got the mic, my brother. Oh, hold on. Before you go, AB Media. Now I'm gonna start swinging people in and out, y'all. You don't have to go away, but you might have to sit backstage for a couple minutes here and there because we got AB Media backstage, and I'm definitely gonna bring him up so he can get his word in. So AB Media, I'm gonna dip
You
down
can put
first.
no, Roger. You can put me in the back, and you can put me in the back until we get to Bible studies. I'm good.
Yeah, you can put me in the back too. I'm about to go back to work, so you can just throw me in the back too. I'll come back and Bible study.
All right. Well, y'all, we changing that to the round table though. We changing that to the round table, okay?
I'll be
All
back to
right.
the round table. My fault.
All right, got y'all. Okay, champ, go right ahead, my brother. Go right ahead.
What's going on, Roger? Happy Thursday. I hope you brothers are having a good time here. I know some of y'all who are living in Chicago are probably excited for this weekend's football game. Hopefully, you guys make it to the conference championship. But anyway, even if Kamala Harris would have won, she would have faced the same type of crisis that we're going through right now in the Middle East pertaining to the situation with Iran and Israel and just trying to do all we can just to overthrow the mullahs out there in Iran and everything else. And on top of that, she would have really gotten a lot of backlash from us over this immigration issue, where definitely see one of the reasons why a lot of black folks have just been turned off by the Democratic Party is that they've basically turned their backs on foundational black American people. Okay? They've turned their backs on us and everything else and have forgotten about us and just put their priorities on immigrants and everything else. Instead of not putting the priorities in their own districts and everything else, like jobs, education, health, all the domestic issues and everything else. Social programs that are being cut down and everything else. That's why that's why a lot of black folks are frustrated with our black mayors and everything else. And we would have done, over this immigration issue that you're seeing in Chicago and even in some cases in St. Louis. That was why that one black female mayor of St. Louis lost her election and everything else, because she was putting her focus on immigration and everything else. And that's not a winning tool and all that. And so that's why some of us ended up voting third party candidacy, or we just stayed home. So Kamala Harris, she would receive backlash over this, and she would also receive backlash, like I said, over this situation over in the Middle East. In fact, I'm glad she's not president, because that would have been a problem. So I'll land my plane there.
All right, I'm gonna say shout out to Kunguru, who says it was her election to lose, and she lost it. She lost it on purpose, sabotage herself. That job is too much work for her, and she recognized that. I'm gonna say that's an interesting take right there. That she lost it on purpose because she was not trying to do the work. Interesting. Shout out to No Placeholders, who says politicians use everybody. That's what they do. And I'm gonna say yes, y'all. It's not wrong to use a person. It's only wrong when you misuse a person. We all want to be used at the end of the day, and we want to be able to use somebody else.
You just got to do it properly and right. Would conflicts be a little bit different if Kamala had won? I think the world stage would look slightly different had Kamala won. I will say that. People were kind of backing off here and there because Trump got elected. So the world stage will look a little different right now had Kamala won.
True,
But
true.
AB
But
Media is well go ahead, but after you I'm gonna say AB Media get in right after you. Go ahead, something you gonna say.
True, she wouldn't have gone up there and tried to overthrow Nicolas Maduro or trying to go ahead and invade Greenland. You know, that would have never happened. But the situation, you know, in the Middle East and everything else with Israel and Iran and all that type of stuff, that would have been the one that would be a huge problem. She would have gotten involved in that because, you know, the lobby behind that, they're pushing it.
Maduro had to get dealt with though.
Maduro? No, he didn't. No, I don't believe
all right, we said AB Media was getting in right after. So we're going to let AB Media get in. AB, you got it, brother.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, correct me if I'm wrong. The synopsis is, what would happen if Kamala Harris got elected?
If she would have beat Donald Trump, how would the country be, or how would the world be, or however you want to take it? But, yeah, what would happen if Kamala would have won?
A simple question. How would you think Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin would respond to, I was born in a middle-class family, or I'm speaking? It would be a total shit show. I can guarantee you they would have kept funding Ukraine. Hell, we would have American troops over there by now. We would probably have American troops in Israel, and probably more than likely in Taiwan, because all the neocons were behind Kamala Harris, including Dick Cheney. So it would have been a total shit show. It doesn't help the fact that China's already ahead of us when it comes to technology, and you're seeing the slow decline of America now, even with Trump in office. It would have went even faster if Kamala Harris got elected. Plain and simple. It just would have happened a lot faster. I don't think she had the guts to do what Trump did with Maduro, and taking over Greenland is probably too much above Kamala Harris's pay grade. Also, remember this lady had a 90% turnover rate with her own staff. You want that running the country? Can you imagine that running the country? It was so bad. Even the linebacker Simone Sanders said she was too tough to work with. She'd never work for another woman again after working for Kamala Harris.
Now you bring up some interesting points, and yeah, there would have been somewhat of an effect because now everybody who works would have technically been working for a woman. So working for a woman would have definitely been on display. But I think a lot of people would have somewhat used that too, you know. Kamala President, she a woman. It's great to work for women. I think people would have used it. Now, again, all that stuff that happened with the DEI and people losing jobs and the government and all that type of stuff. Remember, none of that would have changed because Donald Trump is the reason that stuff changed.
Yes.
You know? So none of that would have happened. So therefore, all them women who lost, you know, when all these reports came out about these hundreds of thousands of women losing jobs, especially black women at the beginning of the year, well, none of that would have happened in the first place. They'd all be sitting there.
Roger, I neglected to mention all of our channels probably would have got taken because we talk too much. We talk way too much truth, and DEI would be on steroids, and no black men wouldn't have jobs afterwards. I'm just saying.
Well, people keep throwing that out there. I don't believe people would have had channels taken because, you know, it's all about certain legalities going on. She would have been president, but, you know, president just can't change stuff unless they're allowed to. But I do honestly believe they would have probably arrested somebody they felt was a big enough name, maybe even 2 or 3 at this particular point.
Roger, let's take a look at what Trump. Let's take a look at what Trump has done in less than a year, I guess. When was he inaugurated? Was it the 21st?
The 20th.
I don't know.
The inaugurations happened on the 20th of January.
Yeah, 2025
Right.
last year.
So it's been less than a year. It's been less than a year. Think about what everything that Trump has done in less than a year. Think about all the stuff that he's done that everybody has questioned the legality of. Think about all the stuff he's done that's being debated at the Supreme Court, the federal courts, district courts, or whatever. A motivated president could do anything the fuck he or she wants to do. And Trump has proven that.
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, taking down some channels on the internet would have been the least of it. You wrap that shit up under the Patriot Act, and you can do whatever the hell you want to do on social media.
Well,
Biden is already in that direction, so that's why I said it would have been put on steroids with Kamala in there.
No, I'm pretty sure some big names would have been arrested already. Now, what they was going to arrest him for would have been more of my question, and it definitely would have been used as a scare tactic to get rid of other people. Now, had they focused on people on the internet, yes, Black Rule has a real good point. Had we been the focus,
but Biden had names that we know on the list under the was it Homeland Security or something? Y'all don't remember that?
Yes.
Y'all don't remember that list?
Yeah, and
that
I'm
was
pretty sure
that was a government reference list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only that, Black Rule didn't they call it that Biden was pressuring Facebook and other social media companies against people?
What the companies would have definitely folded to whatever the people in power are doing. I'm saying the company would have definitely folded. So I don't, but I'm saying I still believe they would have arrested some big name, or at least 2 or 3 of them by now, to scare other people. The thing is, how important would we be to everything they have to do? Now, I'm not saying we wouldn't be at the top of the priority list. I just don't believe we would have been the very top of the priority list. Now, if we were, yeah, that would be a whole different animal.
Nobody has. I don't think we're argued. I don't think any of us have argued we would have been on the top of the list, but we wouldn't have had to be on the top of the list. Like I say, it is not about what I mean. Kamala Harris might barely know what the hell the Black Manosphere is, if she does at all. That's not the issue. The issue is, does the assistant of the associate, cabinet member of the Department of the Interior knows who the Black Manosphere is? And that chick probably does know it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how government works. It's not what the president knows. It's what the second, third, fourth person removed from the president knows and interested in. And that's all you need to know.
I have no doubt they would try to sit roly-poly on us.
Well, I am not saying they wouldn't come out. Yeah, I'm not saying that at all.
Though people like him would have definitely been targeted against this environment. And then you use him, a Black man, to take out other Black men. So that's a good reference that you made there.
Well,
that's how they do it.
Here's another dynamic to consider. Like, there's a lot of money spent in that campaign, and those people that put that money up are going to want a return on investment. It's something worth thinking about. Like, okay, what was that return on investment going to be?
Well, hold on now, because I said already they would have arrested somebody big, probably 2 or 3 by now, to scare other people off. That would have happened. I'm not saying that would not have happened. I do also
it wouldn't have just been arrest. It wouldn't have just been arrest. You got to understand how government works, because it's not just about locking somebody up and scaring folks. Like I said, you got a whole Patriot Act. It's all kinds of shit in that Patriot Act they could use to label something as something and shut shit down. It's a threat to this. It's a threat to that. It's a threat to this. And you ain't got to necessarily arrest everybody. Look at your terms of engagement in all of these social medias. It's very easy to triangulate anything that's done here or
Mm.
anywhere else into something that's some so-called violation. And if you have a presidency that is motivated to do stuff, yeah, everybody gonna be bending knees to that shit. They're gonna activate all that stuff and all this stuff that we sign off on every time we engage in any of these sites, and they're gonna use that as a basis to shut folks down. It would actually be very easy to do without necessarily locking up a lot of people.
Well, I have said that they would arrest somebody, probably 2 or 3 by now, and then would have scared a bunch of people off. I've said that already, y'all. So
I know,
I'm
I
not.
know,
I'm not.
I know for a fact that Black Widow would have seen plenty of unmarked cars or an unmarked truck in front of his house.
What I'm saying is, I'm not arguing against that. They would have made some examples out of people. I know how this government is. They would have got 2 or 3 big names up that they thought would have been the right name. And then all of a sudden, other folks would have just started disappearing. Plus, the companies that run this stuff would have folded, point blank period. And they would have said, "We gonna come up with this, and we gonna go after these people, that people." So I'm not saying stuff wouldn't happen. Automatically stuff would have happened. But I'm saying it wouldn't have necessarily even had to come out from the White House. Now, 2, 3 big names probably was gonna get arrested. Now, what they was gonna arrest them on, I don't know. It don't make a difference. They was gonna get arrested, and then the companies would have just started going after people channels, not the White House. It would have been the companies that went after your channel. So all I'm saying, the companies that have social media, though, they would have went after people's channels, and a lot of folks would have just
But
left or
understand,
changed their
the
subject
White
matter.
House is not just the White House is not just the White House. The White House is the bureaus and the departments of the White House, which have offices everywhere. And all of those departments has bureaus that have offices everywhere. And all of those bureaus have committees and offices everywhere. So when you say the White House, what do you really mean? Because the White House is all over the damn country. We have, I think, here in Chicago, we have the largest or one of the largest FBI buildings, sites in the whole country. That FBI office that's in Chicago is definitely a part of the White House.
Well, I'm not arguing that they wouldn't have done anything. I'm saying it would have been 2 or 3 names that would have been the first people arrested. Then automatically, certain people just gonna stop doing content. Period. Now, the people who own the social media sites, they would have went after certain people, and the folks who want to stay online, that they just would have changed their content. People would have been talking about movies, talking about sports. You know what I'm saying? People would have had whole different pages in a day or two. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying the effect wouldn't have been there. I'm saying they would have went after 2 or 3 people to make an example of them. The company's gonna start doing whatever the White House said to do, and the people are just gonna fold. A lot of folks just gonna stop their channels. Period. They just gonna boom, put the channel on private, don't exist no more to the public. Other folks would have been like, "Well, I'm gonna take all these other videos down, and I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about something else." So I'm not saying y'all wrong. I'm just saying how it would have happened. It would have been kind of quick, you know. And Black Hole, I'm getting the point that you're making, brother. I see you say it's Roger getting the point. I get the point you make. I'm just saying how it would have came in, and it would have pretty much been mostly one foul swoop. You know what I'm saying?
Roger, you would have been in the FBI office wondering how the hell I got here.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have been. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not even making an argument against that. I'm not. I know that would have happened. You know what I'm saying? The lady clearly blamed people on the internet for why she lost the election.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it wouldn't happen at all.
And I can guarantee, you mentioned, Roger, that somebody would be going to jail. Those two would probably be in jail by now.
Well, I'm just saying that's how stuff works. You're going to go after people at the top to give the message immediately. Now, once the guy who got
10,000 subs, the guy who got 30,000 subs, the guy who got even 100,000. When they see the guy with millions of subs getting bothered, they done.
Now
That's what I'm saying. They're done.
you underestimate pettiness. Trump didn't go after people at the top. He went after the people that went after him.
Yeah, well, Trump a different. Yeah, Trump a whole different animal. But
I will put one thing out here, like to kind of give a little bit of fairness and nuance. One thing that would have not happened is we wouldn't have had like evisceration of like EPA and some of the other federal workers that got canned, so that you can have like loyalists and stuff like that thrown in there. Like we wouldn't have had like so much, pain or devastation on some of the just basic technical expertise folk that are in federal government.
They go as far as Trump going after people. That. Why do you think the Democrats picked a whole bunch of black people to go after Trump legally? I saw the play right there. That's why I always say the pawns always go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a separate issue.
Yeah, we do have separate issues, but a lot of white folks who have issues with people in power love a nigga to be in position to get pointed at.
To be the
They
fall
love
guy.
that now. They
It's
love
happening
that.
with James and Gorilla Grip now, Fannie Willis.
Yeah, but see,
but that's not who I'm talking about.
Okay,
but my point is, I am not trying to say that we wouldn't have got locked up. I probably would have been locked up. You know what I'm saying? I would have had to quote unquote explain my case to somebody. Now, I'm not saying that wouldn't have happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the way it would have happened is you go after 2-3 big names. Other people gonna start folding immediately, but the companies know who all the people are. You see what I'm saying? So ain't no hiding. Everybody when they count, they know your real name. You know what I'm saying? So can't nobody hide from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now, how many of us they would have necessarily took to some type of jail site? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think the point would be to make us disappear, and they would have been able to do that. There would have been a few
Well,
people out there.
like I say, I don't think that's the method they would have used. I don't think they would have had to have done that. With the technology, they know everything we're saying while we're talking right now. They could very easily say whatever we've said on any stream was some violation of terms of service. Ain't nobody got to go to jail for that. Nobody got to go to jail for that. You just say that Reset said some shit that was against terms of service. The channel's gone. Ain't nobody got to get locked up.
That's what I mean by the companies was going to bend the knee anyway. So the companies would have done that too. You know what I'm saying? The companies the actual social media companies, what I'm saying, that they would have done that. They would have been eliminating channels.
Yeah.
And while
so the only work that the federal government, the only effort the federal government would have had to have said was, look, you got this terms of service, you got these constant violations of terms of service, and I'm going to require you to execute your terms of service. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
That's just
like I say, we all sign up for these things. There are bazillions of words in these damn terms of service that they could use against any of us any damn day of the week we're on the internet. It's like jaywalking. We all do.
And they just send one G-man to Google to get that done. One.
Yeah, but I am also saying because it would be a
and ain't
Kamala
nobody
Harris.
got to go to jail. Ain't nobody. Now they might go after somebody who is blatantly egregious and is big enough for them to mess with. Although they might not necessarily have a problem with certain people, and some people economically might be in a position where they don't want to necessarily mess with the money. In fact, in some cases, it might be better to just let that fool continue to make their money, and they just knock out all the minions. That's the other kind of thing that happens. Once you get to a certain level where you're making money, they are less motivated to fuck with
you. And I'm saying,
you know
because
what else would happen if she was president? I think our man Luigi Mangione would already have been executed by now.
I did not catch what he said. He got say that again, bro.
I said if she was president, Luigi Mangione would have been executed.
I mean, they still got to take them through a legal process. I mean, maybe they try to speed it up, but they got to take them through it. You know.
You talking about the immigrants?
No, he talked about Luigi Mangione. So that was the guy
Oh,
who off the guy of the healthcare company.
right.
United, yeah, whatever the company is right now. I can't think of the name at the moment. But what I'm saying is, y'all, Kamala Harris is going to be riding out for black women. No, they was going to embarrass somebody. I understand they don't have to. I totally get that they don't have to. But she's going to make a gesture to for black women. So no, they're going to take out somebody, maybe 2 or 3 big names, and people will be made to kiss a ring. Why? Because that's going to be appeasing to black women. And it would be appeasing to other women too, because keep in mind, it's way more white people than black folks in this country. So what we doing is way more white people doing. Somebody would have been made to kiss the ring publicly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's necessary. I just don't believe they're not going to do the theatrics of it. That's all. You got your first woman president. They're going to do the theatrics. You know what I'm saying? At least a little bit. They don't have to, but why would they not? That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really see like Kamala as like really like a big rider for like black women like that for real. Like I see her as more like willing to do the bidding of whoever the donors are behind her.
Well, what you're talking about is beyond black women, though. That's why I said it'll be black women and other women. Keep in mind, it's white women that hate white guys on the internet. It's a lot of them too. So she just make folks kiss the ring. Somebody gonna kiss that ring, and they gonna do it publicly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Somebody gonna kiss that ring publicly. They gonna embarrass that dude. They gonna try to break them.
If you tap the right black women, then the benefit of tapping the black woman, that any resources you put into her are magnified 10 or even 50-fold. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. But if you spend a lot of money, or if you put a lot of power in the hands of the right black woman, like if you put a lot of power in the hands of, let's say, Michelle Obama, then every dollar you spend with Michelle Obama is worth like $50 because of her status and her position. And because everyone know who she is, she's already gained equity within the world, and particularly within and amongst black women. And so very often what you'll see with black people in the political system is that they may not be getting a lot of money, or they may not be a big part of the overall budget of an activity. But yeah, you give Meg the Stallion $500,000 or $1 million. From a political standpoint, that's worth 10 or 15 or $20 million.
Yeah. All right. Now I gotta say, shout out to Gold P. I've meant to say this a long time ago. But shout out to Gold P. He dropped $5.95 in the Cash App. My bad for not seeing it for such a long period of time. He didn't give a message with this one, but shout out to you, brother. I appreciate the $5. And I appreciate the taxes. So, he didn't pay the taxes. Y'all know Gold P paid his taxes. So shout out to you for paying the taxes, brother. Appreciate that big time. Now, Lena is joining us. So I'm going to go ahead and give the mic over to Lena. Hey, Lena, how you doing?
Good morning, Roger. How are you doing? I just think that, like, people think, I honestly think both parties are two wings of the same bird most of the time. I just think Kamala Harris, it wouldn't have been so drastic. It wouldn't be so chaotic, a lot of the transition. I don't agree with a lot of things that Trump has done, but Dems have did a lot. Even though I'm very liberal, I'm actually a Dem, but they've let me down. people say that, they show their butts and black women. I don't think that black women show their butt. The one thing I think black women would be is delusional about it. Like, I think a lot of black women would be like, oh yeah, get you a white man and you'll do better. They think delusion. They think delusional. All you need is a white man. A white man be better. I'll be like, what? Yeah, I mean, it depends on the man and you. Like, you're not going to go far just because you're with a white man. They actually did. I read an article about black women with white men and how they're successful and what they do. What they did was they did an article on Kamala Harris and Ketanji. I think what's her name, Brown, the one that is in the Supreme Court. She's married to a white man, and they were just showing a lot of famous, popular black women that are married to white men, and what they're saying is they give them a soft life. And have you ever even heard this?
You got some working hoes. Well, I ain't gonna call them hoes. They married. But you got some working women talking about they got a soft life.
Yeah, and then
because them chicks you named got jobs. I'm just saying.
Right. And then have you ever heard this one too? I hate this thing. You notice a lot of white men with black women. They have raggedy weaves or hard wigs. They say a hard wig make a soft life. Like, y'all are crazy. Y'all insane. Like, I don't understand that sector of the black community. Like, if y'all can't guess by now, like, I'm on a pro-black scale, and like when it comes to like black people just saying all this crazy stuff, both wings are like crazy. Like, the divestors are crazy. SYSBM are crazy to me.
Well, divestors ain't a real people. Divestor is a woman who married out somebody who's not a black man. They don't really exist. You just got people. You have people using the term that really don't apply. You got people who want to divest. You can say that. There's a lot of them who want to, but they can't actually marry anybody, so they're not divestors.
No, divestors go beyond that. It's different. It's a different. I know, because they intersect into what I find out in the pro-black community. Like, they're really against people like me. The divestors, it's beyond just who you date. They actually are divesting from the black community, which is crazy.
How do you do that without being married to a non-black person?
You cannot date, period. Or you can date,
that's not divesting. You still in the same spot, just don't nobody want you. That's all.
But you divested from the community, meaning you're not supporting the black community.
They haven't done that anyway. So they haven't divested. It is what people besides certain people who are actually pro-black. I'm not talking about pro-black the way you speaking it, because I know that when you speak pro-black, you actually don't even talk. You're not even talking about pro-black people. You're talking about people who use a label so they can get away with stuff. Pro-black people are pro-black men. So you're not even talking about pro-blacks, because you can't be pro-black unless you pro-black men.
Well, yeah, I think you pro-black man and pro-black woman. You're pro-black community.
You got to be pro-black man.
Yeah, you got to be pro-black man and pro-black woman.
If you're not pro-black man, you can't be pro-black woman.
Right, but you got to be pro-black for both. Like, you can't say that someone's a pro-black man and they're not pro-black woman.
No, because the black community is black men. That is the black community. Women
and
only
black women.
No, it's not. Women only participate in community. They don't make any community. That's just real life. Women
How they don't make community?
Because anytime the men of a community gone, that community don't exist anymore.
People say the black community exists in the matriarch.
Who cares what people say? What community of women exists without a community of men? Tell me what that community is.
They claim it's the black community.
No. You talking about what people claim. Tell me what something actually is. Don't tell me about a claim. Tell me about a fact.
So the black community doesn't exist?
Tell me about a fact. What group exists and it's just women and the men don't exist anymore?
Well, you technically can't, because you'll die out.
Exactly. So women women only participate in community. Once you kill the men, the community no longer exists. It's been plenty of wars that didn't happen over history. Once the men are taken out, the women just become whatever the new regime is. Women are not a community. They're just participants. That's a
They
fact.
make up the community.
Once you kill the men, they just become whatever the new regime is.
Not necessarily, because what happens if you kill out the women?
What group of men were killed and then the women still exist? What group is that?
Who you gonna procreate with if all your men are gone? That's
The
what he's
same
asking.
thing. Right. The
No.
same if
I'm
your
not.
women.
I'm not asking. In history, people have attacked other people. Once the men were killed, what happened to that group of people? The women became whatever the new group was.
The problem in this conversation, is we've not defined the word community. And since
Right.
we've not defined the word community, then you're arguing something and she's arguing something, and I don't think you're having the same conversation.
No, I believe we have the same conversation. The thing is, she doesn't want to agree to the facts. In the facts of the real world, once you kill a group of men, the women who are left over become part of the new regime. That is a fact. It's not a theory. That has happened time and time
What
again.
is a community? What is a community? I would ask her what is a community?
A community is made
What's
up
a
of its
community?
people. A community is made up of its people and its culture.
Okay, so once you kill the men,
okay.
Or go ahead, Black. I ain't gonna cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a community is made up of people, the culture, the rules, the moray, a common collaboration of rules and moray, cultural cues, ethics, for which all people operate generally together, moving in the same direction, supporting each other in the same or similar endeavors towards the betterment of all of the people included within that group. That's what a community is. The problem is you have this thing called the Black community, which is largely a misnomer because you don't have people really working together and building together. You don't really have families. Probably only a quarter of the people who are Black are in anything that you would actually say is a real legitimate family. And if you don't have a family, you can't possibly have a neighborhood. And if you don't have a neighborhood, you can't possibly have a community. So that's why I say the problem with this discussion is what is the definition of the community itself. Roger, you have a very clear and I think accurate view of community. I don't believe she does, and I don't think the majority of Black women do, and I'm not even sure the majority of Black people know what a real community is.
So
And
are
that's the
you
fundamental
under
issue.
the belief? Are you under the belief that there isn't a Black community? I'm just curious.
Oh, we're not going to deal with that right now.
I'm saying what I would call a Black community is actually a small subset of the overall population of Black people. You have a Black population, and then you have a small subset in that Black population that is the Black community. But they're not the same thing. One is a small part of the other thing.
Now, go ahead, Grip.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother.
No, it's fine.
Our people have been taught to believe, and they're propagating it even on television now. When you see a family on television, you see a white family, you're going to see a husband, a wife, and children. Every time you see a Black family on TV, and this is what we've been told over the years for a long time, you see women and children. So now our women believe that women and children equal a family of some sort, and it's not.
In which they don't. That's the clear. Well, as soon as you don't have a man there, you clearly don't have a family. You know that should be abundant.
And if you don't have a family, you can't have a neighborhood. And if you don't have a neighborhood, you can't have a community.
Yeah. So again, as I said earlier, women just participate because every time a group of men have come in and conquered another group, regardless of whose side you was on, the women just became part of the new people who showed up. They're not community. If you was community, you'd die. But they don't. They just become whatever the new group of men is. So they're not a community. They just participate. That's reality. Okay. And a lot of folks, they want to deal in fantasy land and in fantasy land. My thing is, I'm looking at it from a reality standpoint. The women just become whatever the new group that showed up is. And that has happened time and time again in history, which means women do not make a community. They just participate in it. Now that's a fact. That's not about somebody's feelings. But let me get these super chats off real quick, and then I got you, Inspired Truth. And I think somebody else come up? I think somebody else done came. Shout out to Landon. He said they might need white men to get away from us. Now he's talking about black women again. Hey, more power to them, but I don't know what they're gonna do about the fact that the white men ain't interested. So, but it's not my problem. Once you let me know you want a white man, hey, I ain't looking at you. You know, it's all good as far as I'm concerned. And shout out to the Revelator. He said that black community in this current iteration is matriarchal. We don't have a community without black men as leaders. And well said, brother. I'm gonna say well said, and let Inspired Truth get in here. But well said, my brother. Until you got men the men who are leading a community is what community that is. I'm gonna say that. So there's a lot of people who see black people and think black community, but a lot of them folks are not even part of a black community. They're led by a whole different group of men. You know, so but go ahead, Inspired Truth. Inspired Truth. Okay, something must be happening with his audio.
Can I say something briefly?
Well, all right, real quick, but I got to get Red Pill Sleeper Cell in. He done came up.
Okay, you know, I think we need to really do a little study on what a community is.
Well, stop right there. That's not even the subject of the show, y'all. We're not going to, you know, we'll hold that for later. We'll hold that for later. Nothing against you personally, but I'm trying to get these last few minutes in about the actual subject of the show. Red Pill Supercell, you got it, my brother.
How you doing, people? Roger. I'm just here eating my popcorn, getting ready for Bible study.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we calling it the round table, y'all. We're gonna call it the round table. We're gonna remove the Bible study and just call it the round table, okay? But okay, I got you. Now Inspired Truth has come back. So I'm gonna take you down for a second so I can get him in so he can say what he wanted to say.
I don't even know if my sound is still working.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. We hear you now. We hear you.
All right, good, because I got kicked off of this spam call. Like what I was trying to say was that we have a misunderstanding, like a deep misunderstanding about like rules, orders, structures, and norms sometimes. Like we kind of think like these things just come out of like thin air or like they're inherent. They just exist without anything behind it. But those things exist because of, in part, the threat of imminent violence. And that's really kind of like where the men instill those rules, laws, and orders. Like, so when you actually have the society that you're living in and the society that you're living under the rules, orders, and structures and norms that are upheld by a group of men. And that's where this idea of community and not having a community without having the men actually comes from.
All right, I gotta slow you down. I'll slow you down too, because I've been trying to move away from that because that's not the subject of the show, and we only got a couple minutes left. So this one I'm gonna do to put us back on point. Realistically, had Kamala Harris won, we might very well be in the beginning stages of the literal end of America. Now, why am I saying that? Because she's letting everybody else in. Now you start letting a bunch of people in that's not a part of your group. Then you start saying, hey, let's let these new people actually have voting power. So now you give new people voting power who don't have your same interests, who don't see you the same way, who not cool with you on different things. they have certain agendas that's going to come along with where they came from. And now you give them the power to push their own agenda. Guess what, y'all? Same thing would happen in America. So you bring a bunch of people in who are not America first. And why would you be America first if you're coming into the country? Because your life is something else. Because you're not an American life. You want to come over here for the benefits of the American dream. And because that's why people come. Let's be realistic about it. People come so they can get a benefit of the American dream. But they have a whole different world perspective. So now you come over here, we give them the power to vote. They're going to vote for whatever their agenda is. So you literally could be introducing the literal end of America. I'm not saying they end in theory and people talking about America going to crash. No, I'm talking about the literal end of America, because if you don't know, you can vote America away. It's in the rules. We can literally crash this whole thing and make something else up if we want to.
Well,
America
I
does not
agree
have
with
to
you.
stand.
I agree with you to a certain extent. You think it's the immigrants. I do agree that if you get the wrong immigrants coming in
No,
here, but you do have black immigrants that come here. Like,
no,
look how they did the Haitians.
hold
Because
on,
I have Haitian ancestry.
hold on, because you said the wrong immigrant. Now, I'm not saying anything about the wrong immigrants. I'm saying the fact that you're an immigrant at all. Kamala Harris was fine with letting immigrants in, period. If you're going to let anybody in who don't have to follow any rules to get in, you automatically going to end up with the wrong immigrants.
If you give
That's an
them rules
automatic thing.
and vet them, because I feel that with Trump, that Trump is voting underneath Trump or whatever, they voted the country and made the Constitution weaker and gave the executive branch more power. So yeah, they slowly voting away our rights, like weakening the voting rights, and he also silenced black people's voices in voting districts. If you sit up there and you blend them in with populations that have less black voices, you end up drowning out their votes. So I think underneath the
Well,
Trump administration um, that they went against our beliefs. They weakened the black voice.
okay, well, they did not weaken the Constitution. The Constitution hasn't had any changes made to it. So the Constitution was not weakened. Now, you can say somebody's voice is weakened. That's, a lot of times subject to opinion. So I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But you did say the Constitution was weakened, which is not actually true, because there
Okay,
has
you're
been no
right. I won't say
no
the
changes made to
Constitution
the
was
Constitution. No,
weakened.
I'm saying this because I want to make sure we're not putting out false
They
narratives.
strengthened. Let me
Saying
ask you
somebody's
this.
voice is weakened is fine in your opinion, because that's more of an opinion thing, and then it can get to the point where it can be proven. So, but I am making a clarification that the Constitution was not weakened because there has been no changes made to the Constitution. Okay, so that's for public sake. There has been
Well,
no
you can
changes
weaken
made
the
to the Constitution.
Constitution though,
No.
because you cannot
You
carry out
can,
the.
you
You
can, but
can.
no, Lena, don't talk when I'm doing this. What
I'm
I'm doing
sorry.
is I'm saying something because you put out something that's false, and what I'm doing is cleaning up the false thing you put out. You said the Constitution was weakened, which is a false statement, and I'm correcting the false statement. This is not to argue with you. I have a public platform, and I don't want people to hit me with they putting out misinformation. So I'm simply correcting a false statement that was made. The Constitution was not weakened because there has been no changes made to the Constitution. That's all I'm saying. It's not to argue with you. Okay. And I tried to let you know that by saying, yes, you can say somebody's voice has been weakened, but it's a fact that the Constitution hadn't had any changes made to it. So therefore it is not weaker. That's all I was saying. Okay. So relax. Okay. You good.
I'm
You
sorry. I
good.
don't want to say that it's actually weakened in the sense that they changed it, but carrying out and executing the laws have and the intent of the Constitution has been weakened, and they empower. Supposed the intent of the Constitution was supposed to be checks and balance of the founding forefathers. That was their idea of the country. But when you empower the executive branch at the level that he has, then we have an elected king. We have a monarch. To me, in my opinion.
So so the show is
Ma-
about.
Many, many, many of the things that Trump has attempted to do, much of it, if not most of it, involved executive orders that were changes to prior executive orders. It was essentially him usurping authority that had been established by his predecessor.
I agree with
That's
you
a
to a certain.
largely what he has
That's
done.
that's
Now,
one of the
here's the
things. I
now
agree.
now there are some other things. There's some other things he's done, and many of those things have been challenged in federal courts. And some of the things he's attempted to do have been thwarted by
Yeah.
federal
Yes.
courts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's,
he's
In
not
fact,
been able to operate with absolute impunity.
yeah.
Yeah.
that
In
is
fact,
true.
in
He has
fact,
met
some of the
opposition.
Well, the subject matter of the show is what if Kamala had won, y'all. It's not about Trump. It's what
Yeah.
if Kamala had
yeah,
won. And
But
yeah,
truth
now
be
can I
told,
say this? If she would have won, there would have been so many immigrants in here. Our vote wouldn't even matter anymore.
yeah, true. And she would have done a lot of executive orders that would have favored immigrants.
I was telling y'all that their game plan was to naturalize all of the immigrants they were bringing in. That's why they were giving them driver's license and all this stuff. They were
Hmm.
getting ready to put all of them on the voting block.
Hmm.
That was the game plan so that they would vote Democrat for the foreseeable future.
Future. Right.
and I'm gonna say this
And
when it comes down to
for example, they put a lot of them in Ohio. Why did they put
Yes,
a lot of them in Ohio?
to flip
Ohio
that
is a
state.
Vote.
major swing state.
Say. Yep.
In
So
fact, in
go.
probably the last 10 elections, Ohio has probably had a deciding vote in the presidential election.
That's what they say. So
So
goes
that's not coincidental.
the country. How Ohio votes, so goes the country. That's the
Yeah.
saying. But another reason why, to me, I think that Trump. I'm not just saying just executive orders. I agree with you, but the Supreme Court, because he packed the courts and swayed. It's supposed to be a neutral branch. Packed the court with Republican leading
hold on.
justices.
The subject of the show is what if Kamala won. If y'all ready to talk about something outside the subject, I just close the show down.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. No, I just think if she would have won, it wouldn't have been that way. She wouldn't have, and she wouldn't increased her power. If she would have won, she wouldn't have increased the executive branch's power. I
As,
think
as
she would have went across both aisles. I think.
How do you know that? How do you know that? You're
yeah.
two heartbeats away from two different people being on the Supreme Court, and some of them folks are old.
Yeah, I know. We
Yeah.
got Clarence. He.
And I'm gonna say too,
Yeah.
Kamala, if you think about what she was doing, now I know y'all ain't gonna get it the way I get it. Kamala was trying to end the country as we know it. The reason you bring a bunch of foreigners in because you don't want that country to exist anymore. Yes, you do put them on a voting block so they can make some changes, and you could change the country. You mean eliminate America as the America we need to know it to be, so somebody
This
else can come into power and rule.
there was a large argument about whether she was black or not, and because she was an AKA, she was accepted as black. And I was telling people, listen, this woman is not black. She doesn't even have any children. She has no stake in the future. She does not care about American values.
What I'm gonna say this because black can be used as a misnomer, and it's truly just a color classification. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it's not whether she's black or not. Is she FBA? Is she American? You know what I'm saying? Those are the real question. What does she stand for is the real question, not whether she's truly black or not. And at the end of the day, when I see somebody who want a bunch of foreigners to come into a country, especially illegally, and you want to empower those people, and no one can argue with me and say they wasn't trying to empower them people. When you give somebody shelter and money, you are empowering those people. So why are you
Yes.
empowering a bunch of foreigners if you like America?
They're gonna become citizens.
No.
Yeah.
Why are you empowering a bunch of foreigners if you like America? Because you're empowering the ones who came over illegally. I ain't got no
No.
beef with the ones who came over legally. But what is your
Well, I
purpose
mean,
in
if
empowering
you think
people?
of America, some people think of America as whoever here is America. It's not like being for example, Indian, where you have an actual, like I'm an Indian person per se, right? So for some people, whoever here is an American, and they have every bit, and especially people who have immigrant backgrounds, very often they think I'm every bit as quote American as anybody else who's here, because America is not a racial identity. America isn't even a historical identity. And we know that's true because the child who's one generation from an immigrant has every single right as those of us whose folks have been here 400, 500 years or were here when white people got here. So it doesn't really matter. Your origin doesn't, if you're born here, it doesn't really matter. If you're naturalized here, except for, I guess, being able to run for presidency, it doesn't really matter. So from their perspective, yeah, we're going to bring people over here, and they're going to be every bit as American as anybody else who's already been here for hundreds of thousands of years. That's their mentality about that.
And I'm gonna say that that's correct, but don't that sound like people coming to take over?
Yeah.
When you think about that, don't that sound like people who come to take over?
An invasion.
What people
You make
coming
it sound
to
like
take?
an invasion.
But hold on, what people coming to take over? If the sitting reigning president is in front of this, then this isn't people coming to quote take over. This is people coming up under the agenda of the people who are in power.
What, as my father would say, that means you would have a president trying to give the country away.
But can I make one little question about Kamala?
Or they're trying to give the country away, or they're trying to use those people to take over, to affect their particular agenda.
Can I make one little thing though?
They were already reporting that most of them people coming across that border was like war ready aged men. Like there wasn't a lot like, so I'm looking at it more as it was an invasion that was about to happen.
All right, go ahead, Lena.
Somebody mentioned that Kamala Harris wasn't a real black woman. I don't know. Like if Kamala Harris didn't say she wasn't black, I wouldn't look at her and think that she wasn't anything else but black. Though, am I the only one that thinks that? You look at her; she looks like a light skinned black woman. She looked no different from me. Really.
That's the point out. That's the point I was making.
What does it matter how she looks?
Yeah,
what does that have to do with anything that's important for the interest
She's
of
black to me. She lives a black life.
Black America.
No, she doesn't live a black life. She doesn't.
She's an AKA. She went to HBCU.
No, let her explain that.
To me, she participates.
HBCU. That when I went to a HBCU, there were white people there, there were Latino people there were Asian people there.
What was the biggest group?
And I was there in the early 80s. I was in the HBCU in the early. I was there around. I was at HBCU, ironically or coincidentally, I was in the HBCU during the same time that Kamala Harris was in the HBCU.
Yeah,
it
was definitely black though, right?
No. Lena, you are saying that she black, and so he's calling on. Okay, well, what you said she lived the black experience. What's the black experience she
white alum. I had Latino alums. I had Asian alums.
Yeah, you said she lived the black experience. What do you mean by living the black experience? Just explain to us.
Like she has black culture, like she went to black school. She probably experienced the same things that a regular black person experience, like certain racism. She has a Jamaican background. But like a Jamaican American. She has that experience of a black person. She dated black men. She's in the community.
I hold fast. Now I'm gonna say, yeah, anybody can have some similarity. She a good chunk of her life she grew up in Canada. Then she came here more. I think it was more her teenage years she came here. Okay, I wouldn't say that's quite the black experience. Okay, not for people that's here. I don't think slavery touched her family at all. Not most people's, because there's some black folks here who slavery didn't touch their family, but there's a good many of us where slavery did touch our family. So She didn't have to deal with that
Wait a
at
minute.
all.
We had a whole presidential campaign. Where were the Jamaicans at? Where were her Jamaican relatives at?
Where her black father at? Her black
What
father's in D.C.
I've been
I
saying.
mentioned that earlier.
Now you could say she had a similar to a black experience because she don't talk to her dad. Now I can give you that one. She don't talk to her father.
She got turned against her father. That part.
And he lives in D.C. He's right here in D.C.
Wait,
Now
Roger.
she
So
has
she
that black
can't be
experience.
Roger. She can't be black because we don't wash collard greens in the bathtub.
Oh, we
I'm
definitely
saying,
don't.
bro. I'm
It's
saying.
disgusting.
So this is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying you can't accept her as a black woman because at the end of the day, black. When you say black, it's just about color. It's not about what you truly stand for. In this particular case, sometimes people mean black as far as who you are, where you come from, and all that type of stuff. Kamala don't really fit all that. She a girl from Canada. Let's just be realistic
There's
about
been a
it.
miscommunication of the wash pan. My grandmother had a wash pan she cooked greens in, but guess what? We didn't fucking bathe in that wash pan. That wash pan was used for cooking and cleaning shit that we were gonna eat. It wasn't used for cleaning our asses.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Right.
And Lena, you have no idea, unless you
Hey,
literally caught all them shows, how much I talked that down her just for even saying something that stupid. A black woman would have slapped the dog taste out of her for saying something that stupid. You telling people we cleaning our greens and tubs we bathe in? That's an insult to every black
It's
woman.
disgusting. Yes,
That's an
it is.
insult to
hey, Roger.
every black woman.
Hey, Roger, can I say something real quick? If you don't
Go
mind.
ahead, bro.
Look, she has do the whole campaign. She ran a whole campaign when she ran for president during the first primary, and she had one when she ran when she was actually the president candidate for the Democratic Party. Throughout that whole campaign, she's got a living. Her mother's dead, right? She's got a living father who's a professor at an Ivy League school, who lives right here in D.C. And she didn't say nothing about it. She didn't have him campaign with her.
Man,
Like, why the
I was gonna say,
like?
man, I've never heard Kamala Harris even mention that dude.
That's what I'm
If
talking
you want
about.
to be
He lives
real,
right here in D.C.
as many times that I had literally covered Kamala Harris and went to all this stuff where I had to sit through her talking and listen to people ask her questions, her answering, which I didn't enjoy doing, but I'm a content creator, so I had a certain responsibility to do it. She ain't even mentioned dude.
And he's alive. He's
I've
alive.
seen her
He's the
mention
reason why she's
him.
black.
Yeah,
I
that's what
He
I'm
want.
saying.
makes her black.
Yeah,
I want.
that's why I heard that she mentioned because that's how she's black through her dad.
I want to
Right.
mention.
She
I
why is her
want.
dad is alive,
No.
but he did not campaign with her.
Hold on. Somebody telling you that her dad is black is not the same as her mentioning her dad. Those are two
No,
totally
I've
different
heard her
things.
mention that her dad was black. That's how she's black. I've seen her
I,
say that.
I want. I want to say something because Lena's point came from something I said,
Go
and I
ahead,
want
bro.
to make it clear what I was saying. She is as much of an American as Arnold Schwarzenegger was when he was governor of freaking um,
California.
California. This is the point that I was making. She's so disassociated with actual American people from her heritage to her upbringing. There is no way that she, in her own mind, is actually doing anything for the sake of the country. She has no stake in it at all.
She's pro. She was mainly pro woman. That was her whole agenda and everything else. Pro women and
Now,
everything else.
what I would have said about her black experience,
Well, no,
one thing,
we moving
wait,
away
wait,
from
wait.
that because
I,
it ain't even about whether she black or not. It's really not.
No, this is about the subject of what would have happened. She would have made AKAs the most insufferable bitches on the planet.
Yes,
That's for
and I
sure.
was here for it. Pink and
That
green.
is an absolute fact.
That's for
That
sure.
is
That
an
was the truth, and I
and
was
you
here
all
for
have
it.
to know. You have to know what an AKA is to know how true that is.
Alpha
I
Kappa
was,
You
Alpha, yes.
have to know. I mean, that would
I
have
Yeah,
been.
was,
Oh my
I
God.
was, I was dating one when she was running, and that was the reason why we broke up. She became the most insufferable bitch in front of my eyes while this woman was running for president, and I refuse. I
Yeah,
refuse.
I was messing with one that was in college who wanted to be an AKA, and I already seen that particular group. It's very problematic. When she started explaining all the different stuff to me
From a
about what's going
family
on
of
with them,
AKAs.
Oh my
well,
god.
it's what I'm saying. With the person who wanted to pledge AKA, I'm like, okay, well, you got to tell me about these group if you want me to be okay with you pledging them. Yeah, because that's how it was. If you want me to be okay with you pledge, and the more she told me about that group, the more crazy they sound. But I'm gonna leave it
They
at that.
are crazy to a
I'm
certain
gonna leave it at
extent.
that. Shout out to
I
Gold
wanted to
P.
pledge. I didn't pledge AKA like
Well,
the rest of my family, but even my grandmother that raised me, she's AKA. She has nothing
well,
but good things to say about them.
we gonna let them
God
go. We
bless you.
gonna let them go.
God
We gonna
bless
let
you.
them go. Okay. We gonna read this from Gold P. Shout out to Gold P. He said Bill Clinton smoked weed, played the saxophone, and hung out with the with the brothers. I guess he's a brother too. I guess so.
No, I turn it
I
off.
guess so. You know,
The reason why
look,
I don't say he a brother, he can't live.
well, look,
It's
y'all.
optional for him to live a
We are
black
getting
experience.
we dealing with the subject matter of the show. The subject matter is not about is she black or not. It's about what she would have done if she were president. So we gonna get on that track, or we gonna get off air because we 20 minutes past the 3 hour mark anyway. Okay, so that's what we gonna talk about. Now we want to deal with something else. We gonna take it backstage to the round table, and then we can really dig in how we do sometime. You know, matter of fact, that's what we gonna do, y'all. We gonna close the show out here. I'm saying I'm gonna just make a final statement. Kamala Harris was going to literally try to end America literally, not figuratively, like a lot of people mean. I'm saying literally. She was gonna try to end America literally. That's what I believe, and I'm gonna stay with that belief. And I hope we don't ever have a Kamala Harris presidency. We aborted it once. I hope we avoided it in the future. I hope she don't even run no more. Truth be told, real talk, you know. And some people gonna say, well, they might find somebody worse than her. I don't know how. That would be a real effort to find somebody worse than her. She was a trash candidate, period. And I'm gonna have the last word on this one. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like button, hype me up, leave a comment after the stream. Know we will be here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Chicago time. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out. Oh, matter of fact, Lena, if you hear this, come back up. I actually want to talk to you backstage. But
Yeah.
yeah, she dipped out. Well, she don't know how it goes sometimes. So
Oh
Lena, if you
gosh.
catch this, come back up back after the show because I definitely got a couple questions for you. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right, and I'm out.